Was there a party
I don't know if
after?
there was or it wasn't because I didn't go.
What?
Yeah, I know. Who am I going to party with?
Your friends?
Who?
What do you mean who?
Yeah,
None of
homies
my
with
friends are
anybody?
none of the races are like there. Like maybe Luca and Finn,
Yeah.
but I'm not like that tight with them. We're hanging out outside of the race. I'm more friends with like Jobo from Steel City and like, but no, honestly, I guess Ollie and Lockie, but not like they're like 10 years younger than me.
But they also got shipped out right after the race.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
They had to go to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Lockie was at the race. Or Lockie went the next day and went with a black eye.
Oh.
Sick, huh?
Classic. That's
What
pretty
a
baller.
sicko. Yeah. Went straight to
Shit.
Wisconsin to HQ with a black eye.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Vitals B Practice Podcast, presented by Maxis Burgtec and Industry 9. I'm Jason Schroeder, joined as always by my friends Tanner Stevens and Dakota Norton. How are you guys doing?
We're living. Just living, baby.
I'm drinking a coffee. You know, every time we do this every week, what's going on, everybody? And they're like, yeah, we're driving. We're drinking coffee. We might be working.
You're calling in on island time right now. You're in Hawaii.
I'm for once, I'm quite the opposite. Your man is not working. It's kind of still working a little bit, but playing on the computer. I'm over here, dude, eating shrimp, hanging out in Hawaii, catching barrels.
Yeah, I don't picture you as an ocean guy.
Not much of an ocean guy. I mean, you've experienced it firsthand. I'm pretty out of place on the beach, but I'm gonna make the most of it. For once in my life, dude, after this, I'm going off the radar, phones off. I'm gonna be in a lawn chair, just looking at the waves. Not even out there surfing them, just looking at them.
Snorkeling? Maybe.
Actually, we might go snorkeling. Honestly, I want to get a jet ski. I want to try to see if I can rent a jet ski and rip it in the ocean. That would be insane. That's my big goal for the trip. So if you see it, I mean,
Kenny Powers tearing it up on a water quad.
Yeah, getting jiggy.
I hope to see it.
I mean, I hope so too.
Oh.
Frida's never been on a jet ski, so we might the whole to turn you must press the throttle thing might get a little out of control, but we're trying to get jiggy.
Oh, that's amazing. A jet ski sounds like a lot of fun. I've not run a jet ski in years. And in the ocean, that sounds like way more fun than like a lake or something, you know?
Dude, the last time I rode a jet ski in the ocean once, and I went off one wave, got a little out of control, faced into the next wave, and like blew my thumb apart. So hopefully my thumb was like, I was on a moto trip. I had to go home because I got hurt on a water quad.
Wow. That's incredible.
So I'm trying to keep it mellow. We're, trying to hang out, but don't want to have a hugie after the season. You get eaten by a shark.
It would be a hilarious way to have something happen at the end of the year, but I look forward to the updates.
Yeah, we'll get
water
jiggy.
quad updates later this week. We better see something. We got to see you enjoy it, living it up, not just sitting in the hotel room doing expense reports.
Yeah, big computer guy at the moment. It's like you think like, oh, the race season's over. Like we're just gonna disappear on vacation, and you gotta do a bunch of computer work. Kind of lame, but it's almost sitting the skid steer time for this guy. I'm ready to do a moto track renovate, and who knows, maybe even make it to California this year. Don't have a house to build.
Not hold my breath.
No, seriously, it's looking pretty promising. Anaheim 1, let's go.
You have come to California, you just don't hit any of us up. The last 3 times you've come out here.
Hey man, I was out there on business. This time I'm coming for pleasure.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I don't know where my budge is at for me to get back to you between now and A1, so
might as well bring me out.
It's probably more likely to see you out here than me in Tennessee.
Between, man, maybe Yoshimura, we got the power, and Vital. Maybe I could get 100% to hook it up, and we're on the way, baby. We're I'm just really trying to go on a moto trip. To be honest, I want to go to Glen Helen.
Glen Helen, Jesus, man. You're trying to rip your arms off or something?
Exactly. I'm excited.
Somebody's
Like,
got to.
You thought
Make that
MSA
happen.
was rough. Glen Helen on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm trying to get revved by some fast guys. Get out the way, squid.
That was a question I had from this weekend is, do you get tired on a track like Mont-Sainte-Anne? Because there was a lot of interviews of people saying that they were feeling it. Like hands were getting tired, arms were starting to get noodly. And when we used to race it, full passenger by the bottom, like survival. I was just trying to get it to the bottom, but I wasn't a professional mountain biker. Now everybody's really good. But like it's still happening to people? I'm like, really? Okay. I don't know. Do you get tired?
I think it depends on the person. That's an interesting question because I do hear all these guys say how wrecked they are by the bottom, but they also pedal a lot more than I do. So like it's actually a goal of mine to become more tired by the bottom, like try to pump harder and pedal harder. Cause I'm like more of a be smooth and just like I like sometimes I forget I don't have a throttle. And I just kind of ride the track as it comes to me. Where in American racing, I think I do so well because I'm really good at like attacking the track. And for some reason, when the speed comes naturally and the speed is higher, like I have a perception of higher speed, I don't feel the need to attack the track as much, which is something that I need to work on for the off season and try to be better with that. But honestly, no, I don't. Like I get winded for sure. I'm out of breath at the bottom, but my legs are never tight or I never feel like I'm starting to lose like the ability to hold myself up. And it is the only time I really get arm pump is if I have like a wrist or a shoulder injury and I have to like hold on really tight. So I was like struggling with my getting arm pump in my left hand after it was Leger when I hurt my shoulder. So if I'm trying to stabilize something that's like injured, for sure, I get tired, but no, man. It's really, really strange. I mean, I'm super fortunate to not deal with that. But like I know like Chris Grice, he's been struggling all season because he just gets through the first split, 2 splits, and he like struggles to bring the intensity because he knows his hands are just gonna pump up. And he's just been having a crazy hard time with arm pump. I know Aaron's been having some issues with his fingers, so he struggles to hold on at the bottom. Bruni has had the arm pump surgery every year right before the season because he gets crazy arm pump. So, I mean, yeah, I think it kind of depends on the rider. And I mean, that's been like, I mean, some riders like Joe Breeden had like that's their biggest hindrance is getting arm pump. I ride a ton of moto, which I think helps. And if I like am in the gym lifting a lot of weights or like rock climbing, I'll get arm pump on my downhill bike. But like if I rock climb on Tuesday and I ride downhill Wednesday morning, I for sure struggle. But I've been pretty lucky to not have too big of an issue with it. So no, I don't. I can usually push full on to the finish line, but all these dudes train hard. Maybe it's maybe I'm just fortunate with not having arm pump issues. Definitely get it on the 450 though. I mean, I get arm pump gnarly on my dirt bike. So, but I also try to ride moto twice a week.
Mm-hmm. I mean, shit, your Mondraker's getting up there probably similar to a 450 at this point.
It's pretty heavy.
Bit of a
honestly.
unit.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. And it takes off, dude. That thing will get away from you.
We're gonna come back to this arm pump
Well, you have
thing.
the parachute out back, right?
Yeah. We weighed bikes for a Pit Bits video on the first day, which everybody should go back and watch because it was pretty interesting how heavy some bikes are, how light some are. But you guys didn't let us weigh your bike, which is super whack.
Listen.
How much does your bike weigh?
The engineer always tells me, yep, we are working. Nothing to say. Keep moving. For sure. Like he doesn't he's like Jack Racing. Jack Racing ain't gonna tell you anything about Bruni's bike. But it's heavy for sure. It's definitely not light.
Do you think it's more than 45 pounds? Or do you think you're flirting around that range?
I don't think I'm over 45. I think I'm I felt like the jet ski, the 4-bar with the hull, that was like probably the heaviest bike I've ever rode. And I think I'm pretty close to what that was now. Or I'm pretty close now to what that was. I don't actually normally, it depends on the rider's bike. I don't normally run weight. I actually ran weight at the BB for the first time here at Mont-Sainte-Anne. I felt like maybe I could have ran it at Valdesol too, but and then we just ran 500 grams at the BB. But
does that mean anything to you? Do you even know what 500 grams means?
I mean, it honestly doesn't, because we have, other stuff going on that's heavy. So
yeah,
to be fair, I don't feel like for any reason, I didn't need to like lighten the bike up at all. I mean, if anything, like I like the bike heavier, and I've been enjoying riding a heavier bike until you have to pedal it to the starting line. That's when I really get tired. I went to the lift on the thing, but no, it's like sweet. Pretty excited.
Yeah. I think most people in the video they were like, oh, it's cool. It weighs this much. We haven't really weighed it, and we don't really care because weight isn't a hindrance typically. Like a lot of people are adding weight in specific areas to get specific characteristics out of bikes. What's nuts is that so many SLE bikes are around the range of what these race bikes are weighing. And everybody that rides SLE bikes generally likes how planted and stable they are because they got weight down low, especially. I'm like, it all makes sense, as long as you got gravity, you're not trying to build your speed. You have the speed given to you. It's good.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoy the e-bikes. Like for me personally, I don't enjoy pedaling an enduro bike. Like they feel like they skid around, they have no traction. They're like, feel like I'm just going to get tomahawked on the thing at any moment, because they just like catch stuff and kind of toss you because they have like no planted weight, but you don't want to pedal more up. So like I'm pretty much fully converted to riding the e-bike, because I don't like I've had heavy full e-bikes. If you have like a full power e-bike that's on the light side, but I actually am getting one of the SLE bikes, so I'll be able to give a report on how that rides compared to my downhill bike. But personally, I really like riding the e-bike because I feel it descends closer to my downhill bike.
Mm-hmm. That'd be a cool comparison to do, an SL e-bike descending versus a downhill bike, and kind of where those differences overlap. But it makes sense that you would want to ride e-bikes more because it's the closest thing to what you do racing wise.
Mm-hmm.
Or an enduro bike, it's all relative, right? If you ride an enduro bike all the time and you get on a smaller trail bike, you're like, this thing is terrifying, and so on and so forth, working down. But if I get on a downhill bike, the first lap for me, I'm always like, this is so boring. Like, it's great in a lot of ways, but there's so much less happening. There's so much less noise. And then as you get adjusted to that, it's way more fun because you can attack things harder. And you get back on your small bike and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing out here? Okay, hold on. You mentioned Loic gets this arm pump surgery every season at the start of the year. What surgery are you talking about? You made it sound like that's just like some normal thing.
I'm pretty sure that's kind of public knowledge, like between I don't know if it's public knowledge for Loic, but I don't think he would say that he doesn't do it. A lot of dudes do it. So essentially, it's a compartment syndrome surgery, the same as the moto guys do. So they just like slice your forearms open so that they can, so that the sheath around the muscle can expand more. So it allows for more blood flow, and pretty much you get it done. It takes 2 weeks to heal from it, and it helps with arm pump, and then it'll heal like towards the end of the season. So then you have to do it again every year. But it's just, I think it's essentially compartment syndrome. Like your forearm, the muscles in your forearms expand so much that they restrict blood flow, and they can't like expand anymore because of the it's almost like I actually don't know the name of it, but it's like a sausage casing. So like you have like a sausage and it's in like a casing, right? So they essentially would just slice that open so your muscle can expand more.
I love this analogy.
Yeah, sorry. I just because I'm on the spot, like I'm
not trying. You're not a doctor. We know this. It's okay.
The skin on the hot dog, thick or thin.
Yeah. Yeah, but so a
lot of hot dog and skin talk, but I understand what you're getting at.
I think it depends. There's like a test for it, so they can tell how much the muscle expands. So like some people only get it on the top of their forearms, some people only get it on the bottom, or some people need it all the way. So essentially they just do like 3 6-inch incisions and just slice your forearm open. I know you have like, if you look at a lot of the dudes, they have like pretty gnarly scars on their forearms from getting the surgery.
It's from that or from the emotional drama they've incurred racing downhill mountain bikes.
Risking your life for $3,500. It'll get you.
Yeah, emotional trauma really just
it's not different.
But so do we think that that's why Loic didn't do well? His sausage casing was healing this weekend, and he was an arm pump.
Dude, I can't believe you.
You said it. Technically, you said it.
No, I mean, I think the effectiveness of the surgery as time goes on becomes, it diminishes. But no, Loic is, he won the overall. Boy has had his off season, and he rolled one down, and now he's getting ready to start. While I'm on vacation, he's starting training for next year. He's ahead, dude. He's so far ahead.
He already had his vacation.
Or
he already had. He was in Kentucky at Bourbon and Bluegrass with his girlfriend.
That surprised the heck out of me. I was so confused by it because that's where my side of the family's from, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing in Louisville?
Yeah. A buddy of mine got a picture of him in his button-up shirt and his cowboy hat. So
I love it.
I got it. Might be the cover of the podcast. And he's got a mustache on.
This is MTB TMZ back at it.
Yeah, I sent him a DM. I said, "Yo, who's from Tennessee? Me or you?" And sent him the photo. That's pretty funny.
Oh, that's great. Okay, let's transition some into chatting about more Mont-Sainte-Anne stuff. Last race of the season, pretty good year. It's crazy that the year's over because it's been 5 months, but it's also crazy that we've only had 7 races in that time. Like, it feels like it's been this long season, but we haven't had that much racing. 5 months is, compared to Supercross or other things we watch, they freaking pack it in. So that's changing next year with 10 races, which is cool to hear. But yeah, man, it was a epic last race in a lot of ways, and also a very typical race for the season we've had, with it raining for finals, kind of changing things up as the race went on. But I feel like there's a lot of buzz and excitement going into next year, which is great. There's a lot of hearsay and gossip around what's changing, but I think overall the sport is healthy. We have a lot of great talent and good racing, good competition. A lot of things going in the right direction, which is sick as a fan. So, well, let's open this though first, Dak, with you. And after Louisville and Leger, we chatted quite a bit about your race prep around rain races. And I'm just curious how this weekend went with waking up on race day. It's cloudy, it's misty, it's foggy, it's starting to rain. Obviously, we saw the issues you had in your race run. I wouldn't look at that and say that was from lack of race prep, but yeah, how have things changed? How was the weekend?
I didn't put roll-offs on, I'll tell you that.
Did we tape the vents?
Vents were untaped, no visor extender this week. It was cloudy. Yeah, OG, and I was running the 100%, their like laminated tear off with the perimeter seal. So I had the sticker on the top and the bottom, so no water got under my tear offs. That was the setup of the week. I'm quite happy with it, to be fair. It was going pretty good. Only had 3 tear offs on, so I was a little scared when it started really chucking it down at the top. But yeah, race day is hard to wake up. You come outside and the road's wet. You're getting wet pedaling to the track, like because the spray on your bike. You get in the pit, everything's wet. You go through practice. You just went crazy fast in the semi the last time you rode the track, and now the speed has been cut in half, and it's slippery, and it doesn't feel good. Like, nothing about it is confidence inspiring or like a good feeling to start the race day. So you kind of have to check yourself and understand that it's just going to be different. And yeah, I think overall I did everything right. I had a smooth morning, didn't end up on the ground, didn't like a lot of the times in the morning, I'll try to ride a pace that's maybe too high, and then you fall down and you're covered in mud and you missed one of your 2 runs, but probably just your 1 run. You look at the track the first run, and then second run, you do a pre-race run. So you don't want to go down in that, because that's like your last bit of confidence that you take into the final. So I think I did everything right. I just didn't do it right. I don't really have a reason why. I felt like I was riding really well. It was the only time I was up at the first. I mean, obviously I didn't have the fastest first split time, but I was up at the first split. It was green. Hadn't been able to do that all weekend. Made good decisions the morning before practice, and was on pace at the second split within reason. And yeah, unfortunately just made a mistake, or I don't even know what I did. It's hard to say.
Yeah, watching a GoPro clip, your like segment you posted looks like an easy thing to do, especially you tack on the race run, the intensity to just probably going like a little bit quicker sort of thing. But
yeah, I think because it was slippery. So there was like the step down where Lockie pulled the tear off, and then there's a long left-hand corner, and I had been going low of the bumps in that corner all weekend because it wasn't slippery, catching the corner at the end, jumping up and going a lot faster. So like when you're going faster up that step up, you jump a lot farther up it and then carve in. And I had been kind of late on that corner all weekend. I was like, in my race run, I'm not going, because it was slippery in the morning and I was late on it. I was like, I'm not going to be late on this freaking corner in the race run. I refuse to be late. Like I've been late on it all weekend. And then in the final, I hit the start of that berm above the holes because it wasn't shiny. So then I carved out of the berm a lot sooner. Speed was lower, didn't jump as far up the step up. So when I started to turn in with an attempt to be in play, like in where I needed to be, like right next to the pole to set up the following corner, I think the speed was just so much lower that I started carving in. And the way that corner worked, it was completely blind. The pole was blind because it was like
on the backside of a crest.
It was on the backside of a crest and a pad. So like I actually sent that when we did the riders group chat, I sent that pad in. I'm like, hey, like we're going to be jumping over this pad or pushing the limit of the pole on the pad. How do you plan to like, make sure that people aren't jumping this pad? Because it was like in a hole we could jump over pretty easy. But because of that, it made the pole on the back of that pad blind. So like by the time I had started initiating my corner, and your goggles are covered in rain because it's raining, you can't really see, it's foggy. I like jumped up there, started initiating my corner, and I was like almost to the pad before I ever seen the next pole. And I was once I pulled, I was in the air, and I literally had from when I pulled to kind of jump this like rock gap to like I just yelled and like for like a half second, and there was nothing I could do. Like I was gonna smash the pole, and I was like, and I, in all reality, maybe I could have moved the front wheel like 2 inches to the left, but I just like was in a state of panic because I seen the pole coming and I just froze. And I felt like maybe I was on the wrong side of it, so I just stopped and hiked back up. I don't know. I probably could have rode down and DNF'd. It's the last race of the season, but the last thing I wanted was to come down and be having like a good run and then get DQ'd. Like put a podium down and then no, you cheated, or whatever. So, and even after the race, I was like, it's sitting in the finish corral. Like, should I have pulled off? Did I hit it? Whatever. And then I watched the GoPro and I was like an inch on the right side of it. So, definitely made the right call or made a call, or I don't know. I was 7th in the overall, 36 points out, no points from the quali in the semi, and just kind of made the choice to go for it. Like, if I have a good run here, I am where I want to be, and if not, I'm short of my goal. So I'm going to be short of my goal if I fail anyways. So I just made the decision to try to do my best and be okay with the consequences.
So where did you finish in the overall?
9th, same as last year.
And how close was 10th to you?
I have no idea.
Because if you disqualified, you'd get no points. 30th, you get at least some points.
Yeah, but there's no protection next year regardless.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering, like, for your overall, like, being top 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Your overall well-being. You
Yeah,
were
Loris
didn't really was
change
more
anything.
than 30 points behind you, which is what you got for last place. So if you would have, oh wait, just kidding, because Loris did get some points. So doing quick math, I think you still would have been good, but it would have been close with Loris right behind you in ninth.
Yeah.
There
was no one there. Like, honestly, I probably could have just kept going and gotten away with it, but that's not the right thing to do, you know? Like,
that's
I'm not.
A question.
A lot of dudes mowed through. That's a lot of dudes mowed through a bunch of poles. Like Ronan lost the wheel, mowed through poles. I mean, I think that I don't. Technically, the thing is like your bottom bracket or like your wheels, but if you're sliding sideways, what is the what's if your rear wheel misses a pole? I don't really know what it is, and a lot of dudes went off in the same spot where there were poles, or up top where there was poles, and I don't really know the ruling. I just tried to do the right thing, you know. It sucks. It is what it is, and I mean, the only way to know was the GoPro. So,
what's your
and
thought?
I looked at the GoPro and I was on the wrong side of it. So, I mean, it is what it is.
What's your thought on the whole enter where you exit rule? It seems, especially in this case, pretty dumb because you didn't gain anything by being literally on the pole. I mean, and two, if there wasn't a camera on the broadcast that actually captured you right there, there was a lot of dark zones in the broadcast where we didn't see you. Who's to know?
Yeah, that's the thing, dude.
I don't know. It just seems like maybe the rule should be is a bit more like up for interpretation by situation.
Yeah, but in that moment, I can't decide. Like, I pulled the brakes and stopped before I even knew it was happening.
If the rule was more like it gets put into review, you would have just continued your run and known that, okay, that might screw me, but we're going to find out after I finish my run.
Bernard Kerr in like 2016, 17 at Leogang off when they did the blind crest. Now the track goes around the bridge thing at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And he landed like right on a pole and they DQ'd him for that. And it was like, dude, you have a pole on the blind crest. Like
literally,
that's what this was too.
The pole. Yeah. Like I landed on the pole.
Ironically, their little barrier was blocking the pole. So,
not to point fingers at anyone, it's freaking lame. Like,
it's lame for everybody though. Like, it's lame as a spectator because there's a lot of people rooting for you, and for it to watch you make a mistake is one thing, but to watch you barely go on the wrong side of a pole, and then everybody watches you stop, and you're walking up the hill, and it's like. It would be much better to watch you finish a run, see how you place, and then I don't know, they've got to have personnel on hand that is like doing instant replays and making a call of like, did you actually gain time? Maybe we docked you half a second, like something that seems appropriate to the mistake made.
Yeah.
But it looks, it looks stupid. You're like running.
We talked about it at, was it Louisville?
Oh, it was lame, dude.
Louisville, I forget who it was that, was it Dangerous maybe?
One of you're not gonna ride fast after that. Like, but you're like going to the rock garden and nobody knows you've.
But if the rule you at the top of your run going to next year, you know that rule doesn't exist, and from now on, if you have a mistake where you ride out of the track, the rule's written as such where you have to enter in a way that's appropriate in some way, however they want to word it. In that situation where you barely skirt the pole, like say the rule was such that isn't D&Qable. Like the mistake you made, the rules are written to where, it's fine. He didn't actually gain any time. He barely went outside the pole. That's probably a mistake for us putting a pole there to begin with. And yours is maybe not as black as white as some other ones. Like I'm drawing a blank on who it was at Ludenville, where like they literally make a huge mistake, come to a stop, and then have to get off their bike and walk back up and around. I'm like, dude, come on. You know, this
Yeah.
actually isn't serving anybody or making racing any fair. If that's more fair, if that's the goal, I would assume make it fair.
Yeah.
So, I
And the
don't
thing
know,
is, like, you're just walking up the hill going, am I going to get, like, how much time do I have? Like, am I going to
Yeah.
impede somebody's run? Like, last thing I want to do is, I'm already got ran over by Greg Minnaar in practice. Like, the last thing I want to do is take out the last dude down. And it's lame because, like, okay, I could have, like, got a penalty for sure, whatever, and went on about my way, had a great run, and could have been sixth on the day. Lost a second from going outside of the polls. Like, the rule has been so, like, black and gray, and maybe, like, I don't know, but if you're gonna get disqualified, then you get no points. So it's like you don't get
Yeah.
30 points.
Mhm.
So it's like, what do you do? You know, like, you're scared of getting disqualified. So it's like, at the end of the day, yeah, it cooked me, dude. Smoked my overall, smoked the day. Like, might as well not even showed up. It's like, okay, 30 points, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I did the right thing. I pay the price, you know. Like, it's a pretty heavy consequence. I mean, it took Finn out of the running for the overall when he got DQ'd at Ludenville. It's you know, you watch the motocross dudes and they don't share any or gain any time, they go back on track. Like, imagine if they were disqualified from the
Yeah.
race every time they went off track, you know. And it's
Yeah,
like
they give out objective penalties.
or
Like
whatever.
Deegan got one for skipping whoops and stuff. It's like,
Mhm. I wondered too with if, you know, you have to re-enter where you exit. Well, then in my mind, it's like how regulated is how often polls are. Because say that poll was not there. There was a pad right before it. Nobody is, yes, people are riding tight there, but you're not. I guess you could you could say that you're setting up wide to then carry speed into the rock drop and blah, 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 blah. But like, what if that pole was 6 inches further? Is that like a regulation thing? Like, if we're getting so nitpicky about it having to come back in where you exited, it's just, I don't like that rule. Feels like it's such a carryover from other disciplines that it does not apply to downhill very appropriately. But we've kind of beaten this one pretty dead over the years. Dak, you got a thumbs down on your screen.
What do you mean? Well, I got a thumbs down.
Put a thumb. See?
Oh, well, yeah, thumbs down. Oh. Oh, it's not gonna make an effect. I don't know what's going on with it. Yeah. No, it was yeah, I didn't like that. It's probably because I thought it was even Google thought it was lame.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, hey, there's the worst part about all of it to me is we have to wait a bunch of months now to see you back racing to continue to build like you have all year. So sure, it was a bummer, but 3-2 on the weekend, still a good weekend.
Thought it was
Great
really gonna
season.
go. Everybody knows it's 3-2-1. What the
3-2-30. 3-2-30.
Yeah, 3-2-30. 3 + 2 does not equal 30.
It does equal 1 though.
3 - 2 is supposed to equal 1.
Yes. What the heck? I mean, even if it was 3 + 2 = 5, I'd be sitting here in a much different. But you know what? Hey, here's what I have to say. You know, it would have just been too nice to go into the offseason winning a race, or, you know, achieving your goals would have been too easy. Too freaking easy. How many years did I have to do before I got a freaking? It's like a top 10 overall. It's like if you go hunting and you shoot a lifetime buck on your first time hunting, you live a suffered life for the rest of your hunting career. So at least I have something to work for. I have something that's motivational going into the off season. I'm proud of the job that I'm doing, you know? And yeah, okay, it's not the result that I wanted. It's not the outcome that I wanted, but it's learning and it's growing, and I'm becoming a better person, and I'm dealing with adversity, and it's okay. You know, it is just what it is. Get on with it. Nobody cares. Work harder.
I agree. It keeps the buzz around you really high going to next year, because the narrative continues. Like, when will he get his first World Cup win? And if you would have done that now, it would come into next season and be like, Dakota who? I forget who that is. Didn't he? Oh yeah, he's one of the dudes with one World Cup win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come out next year swinging. Just win that first one. You know how it
Can you
goes. You do
imagine
well
just-
the first race. Your overall dreams are alive and well all season. So
Yeah, exactly. That's the hard part is the next year with no protection at all is going to be pretty gnarly. Right?
No
Yeah, but
semis, though.
you get LCQ.
No semis. LCQ.
So
Yeah.
that's a positive. I think it's what makes it's fair across the board, right? So
Yeah,
you might say,
I think it's good.
yeah, like I hear you where you worked hard all this year to be protected, but so did a lot of other people. And at least you guys are all going to next year just clean slate, even playing field. Every round is its own thing. So
It'd also be far
yeah.
less people as well, just showing up
Yeah.
to qualify.
presumably, yes.
You won't have 180 people trying to qualify for 30 spots.
It's true. They do. There is a lot of names that every round there's names that make up the top 60 at least that aren't up there every time. So,
Mm-hmm.
Any trying Industry 9
Nice.
Buzz report? Keep moving along.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me give a
We already
shout
went
out
over
to Industry 9 because I got an email this morning about. I'm not super versed on like all the specific areas back east that were impacted by that last hurricane storm. But they are near. It's Asheville, right? Isn't that where
Yeah.
a lot of stuff like shit really hit the fan?
Swannanoa and Nashville, yeah.
So there's an email I got from them this morning about how they're still paying all their employees and a lot of their resources have gone out to help the community. And with that has come strains for them as just being a medium-sized company. So if you've been thinking about buying a hub, buying wheels, a cool stem, a headset, whatever that might be, now would be a cool time to support a cool brand when they could use it. So, alrighty. We talked about bike weights. One thing that stood out from that, other than Dakota dodging us, not letting us weigh his bike, Greg was riding a 45-pound downhill bike, which is sick. The new Pivot, though, is crazy light. They came out with their production, new Phoenix. It's no longer lugged. It's all carbon. And Matt Walker's weighed 36.3 pounds, which is insane, with 2 chains. Yeah. And what's funny is they had a bunch of weight strapped to their bottom bracket. So clearly it's not like weight was a goal for the race team. And
He must have had, well, obviously they're running carbon wheels.
Yep.
He must have had carbon bars.
I think they're all on alloy renthal stuff, but maybe even still, that's not a massive one.
Yeah, but
Contis are really light.
Contis
So that
are
could be
light.
part of it. But otherwise,
7-speed and
air
air shock, not a full cassette.
But
And then
all the other bikes we weigh, not all of them, but a lot of them in a similar boat. I mean, Loris's Trek Session weighed 42.6 pounds.
that's aluminum,
Still,
high pivot.
Still, it's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I mean, the high pivot,
Listen.
yeah, a little bit more chain, I suppose.
He has a
but
mass damper.
He has 2 of them.
Yeah, did
Double
Matt
damp-
Walker? I don't think
double
Matt
damps.
Walker had one.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, that is a lot of weight. I mean, that's like 6 pounds.
Mhm.
It's pretty impressive. We talked about arm pump and how Dakota's superior and does not get that. Greg Minnaar, last World Cup at 42 years old. Insane. I mean, it feels like it's been coming forever with all the drama around him not retiring last year with Syndicate. And that was maybe one thing I was a little bummed about is I never heard him give a shout out to Santa Cruz or the Syndicate for everything that was a part of his career, which I get it was kind of messy with him leaving that team. And he definitely is beating the Norco drum awfully hard and how much they've supported his exit to racing and all that. But yeah, man, still crazy. I feel like we're going to see him back still at one. Like, I just don't really buy that he's like fully done. And you know what I was thinking about too is that if he's stepping away, but he's still involved with Norco, that means that there should be a spot open on that team for another elite male. So be curious kind of who fills that spot.
Quite a few spots that are going to be filling that team, it sounds like.
Potentially. Yes. I mean, I don't know with like Kurt, if he is actually like on the team where like it's requiring budget to support him, or if like him as just an employee engineer, he goes to he would have been at the races anyway, so he might as well line up and race, So
I mean, when he's like the best elite male on your team, you gotta be
asking questions.
Yeah.
They seem like they want to make it a more development type thing, or that has been thrown around a lot as well. But I mean, they have such a cool presence at the World Cup. Like I actually enjoyed the look of that team all year, even though it was different, but it was cool. I liked it, a lot of it. Like, dude, they just stood out.
Kirk rips.
Yeah,
he does rip.
Kirk has always been so fast. What a dude! Well, they need like a People's Choice Award for him. Like he has. Come on, Kirk. This reinvented his whole career as an engineer on a day job.
Dude, what's nuts is I was looking at his roots in rain, and his best finish ever is a 12th at Mont-Sainte-Anne in 2017. But that was also a rain race, the famous Aaron Gwynn rain race. Elliot Jackson was also 10th of that race, and Bruce Klein was 15th, and Kieran I think was 16th. Yeah, a lot of homies came up on that day.
Kieran.
But dude, to 7 years later, I mean, sure, it's at Mont-Sainte-Anne, a place he's raced a bunch, but so is everybody else. So the competition's still
like
high.
In his 30s. Like,
it doesn't mean nothing.
That's it. Kieran's got to come back. Kieran's making a comeback.
Well, so I think
Kieran's the newest rider on Syndicate.
I gotta find a start list for this weekend, because it wasn't very high, and Spomer was texting me about it, and I was like, we're racing Mont-Sainte-Anne next year. And then after like the Vital Ross came out, I was like, nah, just kidding, I'm good.
Psych.
Well, you think that you're racing, and then you look at who's on the start list, and it's all like the big names. You just like cut out the random Europeans that are just pack filling anyways.
But 117 men this weekend, and 60 come out of qualifying. I'm like, I don't know. You're saying there's a chance. I don't want to. I have no interest at all. Fuck it. I'm not racing. That was a good tangent. I don't really remember how we ended up there.
But yeah, Greg's last race. Was there a big after party? Everyone kept hyping it up, but then I didn't really see much of it. So I was wondering how big of this was this after party. He's also 42. Like, he's not 35 anymore, Yeah,
he sure looks like it though. I feel like he can still party pretty hard.
Dude parties not like he's 42.
Yeah.
He is not afraid. They had like a little bit of a party for him, and then they went to the main party. I didn't make it to either of those things, but can't speak for it. But I seen Lockie has a black eye, so I would assume it went pretty good.
That's great. I think famously, G. Atherton came out of a Mont-Sainte-Anne party with a black eye. Or I think that was right. I think that's how that went.
Yeah. From another rider who was winning the overall that year.
Is that what it was? I always thought it was
Bruce. No, it was Rut Boy Bruce.
Legendary. Because he was freaking had his wang out, I think is what the story was with that one. I'm pretty sure.
I would never see that happening.
Allegedly.
This is all hearsay.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, make after parties great again. Maybe people just don't want to broadcast it. I don't know. It's not the biggest. It's not the focus of World Cup racing, but it is great that as the sport grows, it's holding on to those things that keeps it small, keeps it tight knit, keeps it core, original, whatever you want to call it.
Core.
Moving down the list here, I already mentioned it. We got 10 races next year, but we got one in the U.S., Lake Placid, New York, which I outside of
Age-
knowing that it's a World Cup, I've never even heard of the place. So
There's no
Um,
track there right now, I don't think.
yeah,
Dude,
I
yeah,
think Aaron's there right now.
Downhill Mike used to put on a race there at Whiteface, and
That's right.
track started halfway down the mountain, and it was still like a 6-minute track.
Was that the like battle royale, multiple people on track race?
I think they also did that up there, but I was looking at AG's stories. It looks steep. Looks like they got trained.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had the Olympics there like 3 times, the Winter Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they've got to have a steep piste. They got to have a steep hill for downhill skiing, giant slalom and stuff.
It looked, from Aaron's stories in the last 24 hours, I was like, oh, sick. Like they've got the terrain, so hopefully they can just piece something together, and they got some time, I suppose. So that'll be cool. I really want to get to that one. So that'd be sweet to do that. I don't know if there's a date for the US Open yet, but I'm assuming it'll coincide around that in Mont-Sainte-Anne next year as well. So get three North American big races would be pretty cool. And who knows yet with the Monster Energy Downhill Series, if we'll have, a race or two bookend that whole stint of World Cup rounds. Should be good. It's going to be good in the US next year. You going to try to do any of those, Dakota, if they make sense?
10, what is it? 10 plus world champs? 11?
Yeah.
Or is it
10 plus
12,
world champs.
13, 14, 15? Man, so I don't.
Plus,
It's a lot of pesos, dude.
But
I don't know. I need to find
So if
some
you
new
did
sponsors if I'm going to go racing that much. Oh, not new sponsors. I don't want new sponsors. Let me rephrase how I said that. More sponsors. I need more sponsors.
yeah. But
Some budgie.
Mondraker's making a big push in the US, and going to US events with their US athletes seems like a pretty easy connection to make. So,
Yeah, but if you have to fly back from Europe for these set events, it gets expensive quick,
For sure.
And that's been the biggest issue is I don't want to fly back from Europe to turn around and fly back to Europe. That's been the biggest issue with like some of those races being in the middle of the year and wanting to spend the time in Europe developing the new bike. But now that the bike is more developed, I think it'll free up some time. But yeah, it's a lot of racing, man. Like this is a big topic that I don't think we've talked about is one, how are the teams going to afford more racing, right? So like money does not grow on trees, and racing's already very expensive. So now budgeting becomes a thing, right? Also, if you have more World Cups and that takes more budget, how much budget is there going to be for training and preseason racing, test camps, and also like racing that many times a year is a lot of risk as an athlete. So yeah, I think for sure it's we already see the amount of riders that get hurt in a World Cup race season as it is, and maybe that's going to change with no protection in the racing style. Maybe being a little more focused on consistency to put together a full season, making it through the season. So we're going to see a lot of changes next year, man. But it is, like I said, doing that many races a year is really expensive. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really going to have to cut back on my amateur motocross career.
That's how you're paying the bills, though.
Shorten the motocross race season a little bit. But it's interesting to see like the bulk of the races being all back to back to back. So if we can see a lot more of the US, the Pro Downhill, the Monster Energy Pro Downhill Racing Series packed in the preseason, we have Downhill Southeast, we have Pro Downhill. I would like to see more races in the spring to fall to prepare for the World Cup race season. And yeah,
well,
then
you
I'll
should
try to do as
have
many of them as I can.
Yeah, because Tennessee National, and then you've got Monster Pro Downhill, National Champs. So yeah, you have
A lot of racing.
16 opportunities for high level racing between US World Cups, World Champs.
Yeah.
At least. Possibly more. 17, actually.
There are some gaps in the schedule, though. Like if it were to time out right. So there is that at
Mhm.
least.
Well, there's
And-
only the gap in the schedule, only more than 2 week gap in this. There's only one more than 2 week gap in the schedule. So, like, as an Australian rider, like, when do you go home? You can't go home for 6 months.
You don't.
I feel like they already are mostly on that program.
Yeah.
Anybody from
It's
the
like-
Southern Hemisphere is.
It's like interesting, like Troy having his kid. Like, do you just leave for 6 months a year with your kid? You know, it makes it really hard. Like,
Just go live in Europe.
yeah,
Bring the
fly the
missus.
family to Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
where's
it's
the-
quite interesting for sure.
I mean, it's not the worst, right? Like, take Troy as an example. I'm gonna go ahead and assume he owns a house,
Mhm.
probably.
I would say
and
probably yes.
I would say that there's odds that you could. I don't know. It depends on what type of life you're trying to live. But if I had the means to have a home that I could rent out and then just go live in Europe with like my young child and give him that experience while I'm doing my career, maybe not the worst thing, but I understand it's tough. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that maybe there's still opportunity in there to make it make sense and worthwhile. And granted, somebody like Troy, dude, he's been doing it forever, right? He's got to be pretty immune to I'm living my life in Europe for the next month.
Literally would only be able to go to Andorra because we can, like, this is also another topic that's quite interesting is that we can only be in the Changshan province for 90 of every rolling 180 days. So are we going to need a work visa in Europe to be able to race downhill World Cups?
It's a good point.
It's cool. Or do you have to go, like, because essentially right now if you stay for a lot of the season, you have to go to either Andorra or the UK to stay in Europe and be able to be in Europe for that amount of time. And if they're 2 week breaks, like, you're going to have to leave the Changshan province in that 2 week break to make it through that 180 day period. Then you start talking about like the test camps and things like that. You're not going to be able to test in Europe because you're going to use days. So it does make it really complicated now. And I think that there's a lot of questions there's a lot of uncertainties for next year.
Well, there's another thing that I heard recently was the World Cup has only had 6 venues outside of North America and Europe in the entire 30 years of it running.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And those were Japan, Brazil, Hawaii, and like this is including Hawaii. I think it was like Hawaii, and then Cairns and Canberra, and then Pietermaritzburg. So
it is crazy to think about, for sure.
Downhill racing, yeah, it's like not a World Cup
for sure. I mean, which isn't a new issue, I suppose, but it is nuts. And at least looking at the schedule, like cross country is going back to Brazil.
Yeah, they've been. I think they went back last year too.
But for sure, outside of that, we're in North America and we're in Europa. So, and I don't, it'd be great to see him go in more places. Dakota, have you looked into doing a work visa? I have no idea what that entails, but is that not an option for you? I'm assuming it costs money.
Yeah, it does cost money. I think that France has a pretty good program for foreigners that are professional athletes. I have been looking into becoming or getting residency in Andorra. So I would just stay there. I mean, be able to like live there, have a bank account there, so I could buy a vehicle and register a vehicle in Europe and then have my own car. Because if you're, there 6 months of a year, no car, it's pretty tough, honestly, believe it or not. If you want to go somewhere, you cannot do so. So you're living your life in a 1 mile radius until somebody comes and picks you up. So I think that's probably the way I would look at going, and maybe what I plan on basing myself for part of the year out of Andorra going forward, but we'll see.
Interesting stuff. Definitely some things I haven't thought too much about.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not lining up the race, so yeah.
The money side of things for teams makes a lot of sense, especially with the team costs going up astronomically, and then Yeah, and then most of the teams, a lot of them adding riders too, because teams are consolidating. There's like a abundance of riders now.
Mm-hmm.
There's
It is going to be interesting. I'm definitely planning to dive into that more in the coming months as more information comes out and try to check the pulse at a few different points of, with different people and their involvement just around World Cup downhill racing and how it's the changes are affecting them. Because it's going to be, there's so much hearsay up in the air. Like there are no official rules yet. There's been no official press put out. All I've seen, which is what everyone's like slowly leaking, is like a PDF document. And then people start chatting and then just more and more info comes out from that one. But even that's up for interpretation in a lot of ways. And the cost of it all will be really interesting. And I guess the silver lining I keep going back to is that the hope that in North America and the US, because that's where we're all based and what our media focuses on the most, like hopefully that keeps growing. There's more people that want to be involved with it, more brands, more racers, people just want to go race, all those cool things. So the World Cups will be fine. They'll keep existing. And I think the next few years things will shake out quite a bit more. So see what happens. I have some team rumors things written down. I say screw it. We'll save that maybe for a podcast in a couple months once we know some more. Nobody knows anything. Dakota's not going to tell us shit, so whatever.
You don't want to air anything out right now.
We got our man on the inside.
Yeah, it'd be great if you could just spill the beans about a bunch of stuff, but whatever.
Not yet. I'll clue you in as time comes on. I got to keep value for myself on this podcast here. I know the good, so I got to spill them as the off season goes.
You need me more than you think you do.
Got our man on the inside.
Okay, the last Industry 9 Buzz Report thing I have that's kind of random, but shout out to Thibaut Deprella, who had a massive slam in semifinals. And sounds like he broke his shoulder blade and his wrist, collapsed the lung, but is somehow alive. And Jess blew it. Another one who had another big slam in semifinals as well. Fractured her back, I believe, a vertebrae, but is on the mend and going to be okay. But tough break for her for sure.
T1 and 14, I think, or something like that.
What's that?
It was like in her upper back, I think T1 and 14 or something like that.
Something like, it was like transverse processes and then an actual vertebrae.
Gnarly. They both crashed like in the same section too.
I didn't see her crash. It was in the same spot as Thibaut.
Thibaut tucked the front off the rocks after the Stevie Smith rock drop, and just
Thibaut did it.
Well, it was a little bit further down.
Yeah, it was after the like little jump before you enter the rocks.
Right hand turn into that left hander before you go into the rock garden to the trees. Yeah, where you're like hauling.
Dude, he landed off. You can go. Everybody can go look at his Instagram because he posted it. But he gets fucking wound up.
It looks like he lost a hand, like on his way into it. Like
it's almost like just when your muscles relax in a moment where you think you can, and then there was something you didn't see because it just he like collapses over the bars and then just he folded too. It was gnarly. We were watching, Sparmer and I were watching live timing and then texting about it, and I'm like, something happened to Thibaut, and like 10 minutes later he sends me that clip and he's like, we can't do anything with this, but here's what happened. And I was like, oh my god,
noises
I'm
were
glad
made.
It wasn't worse. Gross. I thought maybe it was off of Stevie Smith drop, right? Like
no, Jess did the right, the left, and she was laying kind of like, it's almost like she like dropped off to the left off those rocks, and then something happened and she swapped right there because she was laying like down by that little right hander with the pad before you go off the ski jump. And we were all going up for semis, and she was just like laying in a pile in the fetal position underneath the lift, and we were all going up. It was like, oh, so heavy, dude, so heavy, gnarly.
She's had a
not awesome.
That zone is real gnarly,
bro. You are freaking ripping.
One year off that like long and low jump thing, I just like hit that bike didn't want to turn. I just went straight over the tape, just like didn't make the right hand turn. And I was just holding on for my life, and I eventually just flipped the bars into some bushes and stuff.
Best case scenario.
Yeah.
My bike bottoms out like I can't tell you in that straightaway from the Stevie Smith rock drop until when you go in the rock garden, like my bike bottoms, I think 6 times so hard that it feels like it's going to come into pieces. And like
It sounds like it too.
Yeah, thanks. But you go to Mont-Sainte-Anne, and no matter how stiff you think your bike is, or like how dialed you think your setup is, 2 spring rates. Right then, 2 spring rates and 10 psi in the fork, easy. And then the thing still feels like I bottom out so hard off that ski jump, it feels like vertebrae are gonna go in my shoe. And then where Tebow crossed, when you drop, like you're ripping, you do that like ski jump, bike bottoms twice, like, and I'm talking like hard metal on metal bottom out. You squash the right, and then you're braking, and you drop off that little bit into the uphill before the corner, front and rear, metal on metal, like hard. Like hitting your hammer on the concrete.
And your bike, like every time you bottom out, it just like binds up and then it just releases, and you don't know what's gonna happen.
You don't know which way you're going. Dude, it's my bike. Like I said, this is not a bike setup. This is not, the people at home don't really understand the forces and the shaft speeds you get on that track. Like when you're doing 65K an hour and you bottom out, it's gnarly. It's freaking heavy. Pretty sick. Honestly, sick feeling though. Like you're just holding on, the dog is eating, and you're just trying to keep it pointed in the right direction. So gnarly. It's probably the sickest feeling of any World Cup track, I think, possible. Like terrifying, yes, but when you scrub that thing underneath the ski lift, it's like you feel like a bad dude.
Mm-hmm. I bet that is one thing that you don't realize about that, or you do realize but you don't think about as much just watching clips, is that everyone in the Gandhi is just staring at you, and when you come into that open bit, you kind of have that like shoulder shrug feeling, like all right, here we go. I'm about to I gotta show up, I can't look like I'm not going fast.
You can't look like a squid under the lift because everybody on the Gandhi's watching you.
That's my Max's make or break section, is the whole open bit right there, because I feel like it connects the upper woods and the lower woods, and it's so high speed that if you don't have a good ski hill bit, it kind of throws off your flow for lower down, and it's gnarly. So like you can botch a section, but yes, it's sick.
So sick. So sick. I think that like when you talk about Mont-Sainte-Anne, and you talk about these World Cup tracks, but you talk about Mont-Sainte-Anne, you're saying like, how tired are you at the bottom? Like you're pulling, like the G forces that you feel, like it's like you're like the deciding factor of if you can go faster in a section like that is like if you can hold yourself up and not have your arms buckle. It's like somebody just drops 225 on the bench press, and you got to try to keep it from hitting your chest, like it's pretty gnarly. Like, I mean, granted, some dudes rep 225, but it's I don't. I do not. But those impacts your eyes are shutting. Like your eyes want to close when you hit some of those. It's hard to like keep your eyelids open. Pretty wild. Sick.
Good stuff. It is
World
sick.
Cup downhill racing is sick. You can't do that on a bicycle anywhere. Maybe Schladming or Morzine are the only 2 places that I think, like, I mean, there's a couple other places, right? Like, but like that you can go buy a bike park, a lift ticket, and go that fast and hit things that hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, then you add on the fact that I would say between the tape, you're between the poles, so the intensity gets brought up.
You're trying to stay in between.
Yeah, you really got to work on it this off season. It should be number 1 list. Stay on the track.
Well, he did the rain prep, so the rain prep was good this time.
Now I'm going to be out there.
Pole prep. You got to get the pole prep going.
For the next month, I'm going to be at Windrock Bike Park. I'm going to be at Windrock Bike Park. I'm going to be in the woods in a ghillie suit with my Rogue Hoe hiding from Aaron Gwynn building rogue trails. You're gonna see me laying with my camoed road hoe in my ghillie suit, hiding from Aaron. Like, oh, you're like, I'm gonna get down. You can't get me.
Oh my God. What with so much stoke around Mont-Sainte-Anne every year and that open bit in particular, what'd you think of the rest of the track? It seemed like they did some little changes here and there that made it look really fun to ride, and also the conditions outside of race day were pretty epic, about as good as it can get there.
You're like coming into the woods fresh now. So like, I think Mont-Sainte-Anne was like, you were pretty winded by the shark fin, and then you were trying to recover for the woods because your heart rate was already pretty high. And now it felt like it was almost like a pump track race to the shark fin. You didn't really pedal, but you were like trying to be real precise. And then you come into the woods like ready to go. So you're like actually charging in the woods, which was pretty sweet. And then they brought the old like bus stop section, like the old Steve Pete, like sick tight section back in Atherton.
That's where he ran off. He rode off into the trees right there, like max speed, and smashed his nuts.
No way. Don't do that.
That's a pretty good GoPro.
That's terrifying. I think that Steve Pete had like a New World Disorder Earth segment in there or something.
Like, Earth or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is cool to see them go back over there.
The track seemed pretty tight this year for Mont-Sainte-Anne.
The woods have always kind of felt tight to me, but they built Velo Solutions came in and built this like bit of like a bike park fast bermy flow trail section in the first woods where it used to do like the right hander and drop out onto the ski slope. And the section is sick for sure, but they definitely built things like for half the speed we go. So it's like gnarly because you're going like too fast on something that's not supportive enough to go the speed we're going, if that makes sense. But it definitely was a tighter Mont-Sainte-Anne. The two wood sections were tighter, but honestly way better than doing that 75k an hour ski piece with the water bars and then that was
the best. Come on.
It was sick, but terrifying.
Iconic.
Just death grip that thing.
It was scary because your rims would be like ding, 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 like in the left-hander, and you're just like, please not today.
And then your bike would be clapping out of it, rocks flying. Like,
I think, you know
so
what,
sane.
dude? There's probably a lot of people that listen to this podcast that are like downhill dudes that like that feeling of like all of us that race downhill can relate to that. Like, when we're talking about that, like you're smashing your rim, your bike sounds like it's going to snap into pieces, and you're just hoping to not hear the where you have to fight for your life. And that is like, that is the feeling that makes downhill so sick. When you're like ripping, going fast, smashing your rims, and just holding on for dear life is really sick. Really, really a sick feeling.
Yeah, and you'd come down, you'd have a huge bruise on your shin from some loose rock, like the size of a softball, flipping up and hitting you in the shin.
Dude, I guess that's what makes World Cup so sick, and that's that feeling that people like chase, right? That's what makes downhill. I don't know. To me, it's like I bet you dudes that have never raced a World Cup like have that same feeling, but at a much lower speed, which makes the sport you feel like you're out of control. And like when you get those like, I love technical downhill riding, and I like when there's gnarly routes and it's hard, but that feeling of just like you only get it at a downhill race when the track is cleared off, when it's like ripping on fire roads from section to section, like that like feeling like is really sick. You don't get that often, or you don't get it. You don't get that on a bike park day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder if they'd ever bring that back at Mont-Sainte-Anne. Maybe not now with how low down the start is, or maybe they would because it would shorten the track. But it was cool when they ran it those few years. That's for sure.
It was friggin' gnarly.
It was super gnarly.
Chuck posted a clip on his story, I think, of him and Reese training through there. I was like, oh, it looks so sick.
TBT.
Yeah.
The best
just like
section
breaking, stuff flying. Like I've never had like the brake locked up for like a football field.
Right.
Just dude. Mont-Sainte-Anne is literally the GOAT. Like, literally, Finn Isles said he's like, they just need to take every track and just make it after this. Like, normally you have like gnarly, like big pedals on flat sections, like Maribor, you'd come out of the corner and there's like that big flat pedal. It's like, just if you have a flat on a mountain, just rip us straight into it and let us cook. Like, oh, awesome. Like, they just really did it right with that track. Like, it's just ripping on ski slopes into the woods, hauling ass through gnarly stuff, back into the ski open, wide open. Like, they never like bus stop. Like, it's like a lot of the tracks, they like bus stop it as soon as you come into the woods and bring the speed down. In Mont-Sainte-Anne, they just let you come off the ski slopes wide open into the woods. Like,
yeah, it's because going into
cool.
going into the rock garden stuff, it's completely your choice to touch your brakes. Like,
oh yeah,
you
can
have
go in
to,
there
unless you want to just, call it quits on everything going on. You got to touch your brakes.
Yeah,
dude.
That is a really good point, though.
Cool. It's cool.
Yeah,
Like,
there's no shortage of speed.
No. It's all you want. Like, as fast as you want to go until the point where you can't hold yourself up or you like start flipping. Like, pretty cool, if you ask me. Like, that is what I feel like downhill is. And like, I mean, you get sections like that at Maribor where you come in the woods ripping and stuff, but like, it's proper. That's what makes a proper World Cup track, is going out into the wide open, ripping, coming back into the woods, still ripping, like, and just like, there is all the speed you want, and you choose if you want it or not.
Pretty sick. What tires did you run this weekend and for race day?
Ran double DHR all weekend, went to the high roller front and rear for the race run for some of those open sections. I see Troy run on double DHR. Lockie, I think, was still on dries. I think it was like a bit of a mix. Like, for me, the Max's make or break section would have been the rock garden for like, I think the open is like what decided the race. But for me, like, going into the rock garden and having like being like, oh, it's a good run, I'm still just gonna hang it out, hope I stay up, and that's where the big choice. Like, you would have wanted the mud tire, but the mud tire would have been terrible in the rocks, where the dry tire would have been really good in the rocks. But in a couple of sections, it would have been pretty hairy. Like, it's like some of the new dirt there's a lot of new dirt that you wanted that like edge when you were leaning, turning, to like have grip. So, dude, hard choice to make. But yeah, I went to the high roller. I thought it was pretty good. I got through the rock garden fine on it, but I definitely wasn't pushing the pace after my moment there, my walk of shame.
Your conspiracy mistake.
Yeah, conspiracy mistake. It would have been too easy. I didn't want. I was. Yeah.
The rock garden definitely. I would agree from a survival standpoint. It probably was the make or break section, because in like the women's field and the men's as well, just carrying your speed coming through that whole lower bit, there are some people that lost a ton of time. Or Loris, on the other hand, I think he might have been fastest through that split, but he definitely was visibly hauling ass through those rocks. It was super nuts. I didn't really look at splits too much, just because, I don't know, people kind of finished where they did. But there were some really impressive displays of bike riding through that, in this, like, how wet it was, because the people that did go down, watching them try to stand back up made you realize how slippery it was. I was like, how the hell are people just straight lining this off camber that has a bunch of curbs going the wrong way against you, and it's pretty steep, but you have to slow down a lot to like hit the little whoops as you turn left and then drop around that tree.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It made no sense to me.
It's gnarly. And your rims are just like ding, da, ding, ding, da, ding, 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 like, because you're just running into curbs. Like, they're
Mhm.
off. Like, that rock garden looks so easy when you watch people ride it on the internet, but it's literally like if you were to just make whoops out of curbs, like that are exactly the width of your like. It's literally whoops. Like, you drop into these like hang-ups that are like
Mhm.
both wheels drop into against like full-on curbs, and then you turn, and then there's just curbs at a 45-degree angle on slippery polished rock. And it is, if you were to make that rock garden out of concrete, like, it would be hard to ride, let alone like how polished it is.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
dude,
I feel like
it's
we've all flipped bars in that rock garden. I did in 2015. It's very easy to be tired and come into there and do half of a
Just-
push up, and your bike just stops in a hole.
yeah.
They've also just 86 to rim in there. Everyone has.
Oh,
Mhm.
dude, rims.
Yeah.
As in plural.
Front and rear
Like-
at once.
Yeah. You're yeah, sorry, boys. Nurse this one to the bottom.
The first time, well, the second time I rolled up there, I had tubes in my bike still.
Idiot.
And I didn't get it. I was just like, dude, this place is so gnarly. And we got to keep going up and up in pressure. Feel like 35 psi. Somebody was like, you should definitely run tubeless. I'm like, nah, it's so hard to do though. It's such a pain in the ass. They're like, everybody else does it. I'm like, you don't say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's something to this. Yeah. All right. Should we run through some racing?
You know what's way cheaper than that suspension service your bike desperately needs, or less of a hassle than finally replacing those C-frame bearings you said you would swap after last winter? Slapping on some crispy, fresh Maxxis tires. Doesn't matter if you've got a month-old whip that came with some questionable rubber, or you're still rolling around on 26-inch wheels like it's 2013, Maxxis has got you covered. The tires of choice for the world's fastest racers. Whether they're sponsored by Maxxis or not, you can visit your local shop or favorite online retailer to get the same tread patterns and compounds. UK components brand Burgtec has long designed and developed components for racers and everyday riders alike. Well known as the cockpit of choice for shredders like Veronique Sandler and Josh Bryceland, they recently picked up the Trek Factory DH squad and the Yeti Cycles team. So look for Richie Rude, Mick Hanna, Loris Vergier, and Sacha Ernest all racing this season with the signature white and yellow Burgtec badge. But I do have to warn you though, as the Burgtec website is honestly a euphoric dark trap of mountain bike componentry. It's hard to leave without finding something you didn't know your bike badly needed. Anodized UDH hangers and axles? Yep. Titanium frame bolts? Of course. Offset shock bushings? Add to cart. A true one-stop shop for all the finer details and contact points on your bike. Make sure to check everything out at burgtec-usa.com. If you still don't know about Industry 9 and the premium products they manufacture in Asheville, North Carolina, put this podcast on pause and get over to industry9.com. That's 9 spelled out. Once you're there, you'll see that they've got aluminum and carbon wheels for mountain, road, and gravel, as well as headsets and stems. Industry 9 did just launch their new Solix mountain wheels and hubs built for XC and mid-travel trail bikes. There are 4 wheel models that are all sub 1,500 grams, and the new hub features 605 points of engagement with a continuously phased free hub mechanism so that all 5 pawls engage with the drive unit when pedaling, increasing durability. They've also lowered the pawl spring pressure to minimize drag, as well as redesigned the axle and bearing layout to give riders a fast-responding, burly hub that is incredibly light. Make sure to check them out if you're looking for a hub or wheel system that's ready for the demands of modern XC and trail riding.
All right, we just got back from a bathroom break. Dakota's not here yet, but I'm going to run through juniors and try to keep it quick. We've talked a lot already today, but Eris Van Leuven, she takes the overall and also wins on the day with the crash, which is quite impressive. Pretty dominating victory. It was quite a bit up on everybody else, and what a junior career for her. I'm excited to see her in elites next season. Hopefully she can kind of continue that momentum. Sacha Ernest, second, great way to finish off her junior career with another podium. Moved up to finish third in the overall. Kale Cushman, the American, in third. That was super cool to see. Huge congrats to her for kind of same thing, closing off her junior career with her best result. Pella Ward, a name that I have not heard before, and I believe it was her first World Cup, was in fourth. Another American.
Yep.
So impressive. Cool to see. Ellis Fegby was in fifth, on pace for a second, had a few crashes. Still just a crazy season for her. Same thing, coming out of nowhere, a name that until she did well, whichever first race was hers this year, I had never heard of her. I don't think many people had, and then just came out to basically be on the podium almost every time she raced. So
Yeah.
she's in her first year junior, so she'll be back next season, and that'll be really cool to see because I think that she's due for a win. So, and hopefully gets on a team as well.
Yeah, I mean, she came in at Leogang and finished fourth, and then got another fourth at Val di Sole, and then second.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Val di Sole was like second at every split up until she ate it quite hard and still finished fourth. So
One
a lot
continental
of promise
champs.
there. Yeah, continental champs. She did win a race this year. You're gonna win one. At least you get to wear a cool jersey afterwards.
Cool is that's a personal opinion, but
Significant jersey.
yeah.
A jersey of significance. Kind of the same thing with Worlds as well. A little bit. The Worlds jersey, it does look cool. More significant than not.
Yeah.
Dakota, I'm running through juniors, just so you know. It looks like you're making a protein shake and you're on mute, but I'm going to keep ripping through this.
Yeah, you get them juniors. You go ahead and you talk about them juniors while I'm gone. I'm going to make a protein shake.
All right, junior men. Max Allren freaking stuck it to everyone. 5.2 seconds up. One of the better race runs I've seen in a while, especially from a junior. Kid has got some really sick style, really aggressive. Just, it's almost like you do have to ride a certain way to ride a common soul. They don't pick you otherwise. It's like a Yeti, You have to look like a bear riding your bike. It all makes sense, Dakota liked that one. Silent mode Dakota liked that one. And I feel like naturally, us being all US boys, we've hyped up our dude Asa quite a bit this season, but cannot go understated how fast and well Max rode this season. I mean, he won the overall, but he was right in the mix the whole season, beat Asa a few times, and it's going to be great next year. Like the battles that are building with him and Asa, as well as his brother Till, who finished second this weekend as well. A lot of good promise in the junior fields. Yeah, it's good stuff. He had a ridiculous scrub on the one step down. Love a good scrub.
Yep.
Moving through the list here.
Our boy Gavin Tomlinson, American. He was doing pretty well up until the last split, I believe.
Yeah, he was second in qualities. Insane. It's like, the speed's there. And then, unfortunately went down. I have written down that he was seventh at every split up until he crashed, which still would have been a great result.
Just went down on the rocks. Classic tail all this time.
There's too many curves in there. Soon enough, they're going to fill it in. So we're all good. Shout out to Ed Masters and Rock Free Trails. Who else? Going on the list. Third place. Scrolling up. Third place, Tyler Waite.
Yeah.
Cool one to see. Like, he's going into the year, he wasn't really on our radar until he was. And then, Dakota, I can hear myself on your. Okay, we're back. We chatted about him coming to the season, but that was only because somebody else kind of put him on my radar at least. And then, looking into him, it's like, oh shit, this kid's super fast. He's going to be in the mix, and then breaks his collarbone at Port William and is out most of the year. But for him to come back and do, what did he do? Second Loonville, third here, I believe. Like, got back-to-back podiums at the 2 World Cups he came back for. Really cool to see. Yeah, man, good stuff. Going to be exciting for him next year as well. And he's got bleached hair, making the 90s look good again.
Yeah, also, we talked about last time, can't understand what he's saying. He's just full Kiwi. It's good to see.
It's great. You love to hear it. Big, like, we almost start to verge on the edge of Josh Priceland sounding.
Yeah.
Like, where? What hemisphere are we in? Where are we? What country is this? Lorenzo Masciarini, maybe how you say your last name.
Yo,
Fourth
Lorenzo. Yeah.
place.
Lorenzo.
His best result before that was a ninth at Loonville. And then before that, he was like pretty off the pace. So something changed these last 2 rounds. Cool to see him turning up, going fast.
And then Mikey De La Salle as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Sick.
feel like he's just kind of it's been waiting for this to happen. A little 6th place. And he's a
another
first year
kid.
junior, right?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's only been riding downhill for like 3 years.
Crazy.
Pretty fresh to riding.
He's
But
got
he's like had
mean
speed.
style on a bike.
Yeah, he looks sick. And he's had really good speed. It's just like he's struggled to go to the pace that he can ride without having like a crash. So like to see him have like a good one to end the season, have like a good run at it and not end up on the floor is pretty cool. Because he's definitely had good speed to be like in that mix, but he just hasn't been able to stay up. So cool. Canadian getting a good Canadian result.
Love to see it. Luke Wayman. Bit of a mids day at MSA with the 7th, but it wasn't up to pass ace in the overall and finish 2nd. Dude, last year I was looking back. He's a 2nd-year junior. He didn't race the first 3 races, but his best result for the ones he did do was a 9th, and he finished 18th in the overall. So pretty crazy improvement, and hopefully he finds himself on a team next year and at the races, because it's been cool to watch him just steadily be in the mix every round.
Yeah, it's crazy. The top 4 were all first-year juniors. And
Sign of the times.
Yeah. So. And Mikey De La Salle is actually a 2nd-year junior. It looks like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a 2006 birthday.
See, I thought Luke Wayman was a first-year junior, but I think it's just because the years blend together so much. I'm like, wait, were we talking about him last year, or was that this year? And a 2nd-year junior who had a bit of a bummer race run was Milan Falque. Like, was on a really good run and then crashed literally last drop.
Yeah,
he hit some.
It's kind of a weird spot. There are like sneaky rocks that I've definitely gotten flat tires on in there.
Oh yeah,
that last little bit is treacherous right there, but not slippery.
It was extra hard this year.
Yeah,
because you had to like jump the thing on the right and then go all the way back left, and there was a couple curbs in there. You couldn't go inside into it this year at all.
Huh?
Yeah, that one
scrubs weren't as sick on the. No one was really doing gnarly 6 scrubs on the.
Yeah, it was all smushed down though. Like the drop looked smaller and the jump looked smaller. It all looked tinier. Was it?
Oh yeah. There was no. It was dirt on all the way on it, and it was like a little kicker rock right before you went off. You'd pre-hop, and you were coming in at less of an angle this year.
Did it used to be a wood drop, or has it always been dirt? Okay, I thought it used to look more grand.
2 years ago, I think, is when they did the big with all the 6 scrubs, and then last year had some 6 scrubs.
I remember the first 2 years going there. Really, every year I feel like I remember racing it. You would come off that step down and like yank for that double. Like it was at least 40 feet, if not bigger. Like it was a big ass jump, which is cool. It was cool in the broadcast that they had a real slow-mo tight shot on people going off the finish line drop, and you could see people's thumbs shifting in the air or like their fingers coming off the brakes. That was pretty neat. I'm a sucker for slow-mo. Clay Porter.
I think it was Lockie who did the little Sammy B, just cranked that thing in the air on the final jump.
Yeah.
Pretty tight.
Yeah.
And you got to time those cranks right. Otherwise, you're just anchoring your pedals when you come down. You're digging your grave with your feet, you know? At least we didn't have a Nico Malali incident this year. People just jumping through their bike on that. That was legendary.
Through his bike,
Pretty
jumping
much.
through it.
Whatever wheels he was on, just eliminated.
Yeah, he was
All
spanking
right.
those things for sure.
Okay, we're moving on. Chris Hauser was on a podium run. Homie went down again. Bummer of a
Dak's
year
losing
for
it.
him, dude. What's that?
Dak's losing it.
Yeah, you fucking got Dak with the spank comment.
I'm spanking out there.
Yeah. You jumping through some wheels every now and again?
Jumping through something.
Better than a few years ago, though, I'm sure.
Jumping over the bunny hop contest.
Yeah.
All right, anyways, keep going.
Oh, wait.
Christian
Slight-
Hauser.
I'm going to incriminate myself.
No. One slight small side note. Just what was your tire pressure this weekend?
Me?
Yeah.
23, 28. 23, 28.
All right, keeping it pre-stock.
New. I have some. Move on.
Are we having revelations?
You got new
No.
air? What are you working with?
No,
Nitrogen.
we're running hydrogen. Keep moving. Come on. No, we're running air. I've been trying to run a little bit less in the rear if I can. So I'm keep moving. Go.
Oh.
He's able to run less in the rear, he
There,
said.
just go. Keep moving. I'm always getting in trouble.
Anyways, okay, moving on. Max's tire, something new's coming. We'll move on. Yeah, Hauser, bummer, dude. Like he's had such a tough year, and I think I could see him being somebody that moves up to elites, and the change is a good thing. Like it's fresh. It's the expectations probably drop off quite a bit. Like there's been a lot of expectation from him, mostly just from winning the first round out last year. So
I feel like it created. I really like Chris Hauser, and I've become pretty good friends with him over the years, and I think that he has definitely struggled. Like he struggled the expectation went really high, too much too soon, and then he struggled to fulfill the expectation, and he had a bunch of crashes, and then like struggled to find his way back to the pace he can ride, and without crashing. So it's like every time he tries to go fast, he crashes, and he really, I think, has a big struggle with that. So if he can move into elite and hopefully not be feel like the focus or feel like that expectation, I think he can find that form again. But it's been definitely pretty hard on him. Obviously I know him pretty well, and I just like seeing him riding at a more controlled pace instead of just trying to live up to this hype and ride this gnarly expectation. Anyways, move on.
I like it. Thank you for the insight.
Gotcha. Boots on the ground.
That's what we pay you for.
Vital trackside support.
Elite women. Overall's already wrapped up. Valley, same as Loic, put it to everybody. So she was just there to show face and kind of win. Even though I want to say she was fast, like first two splits, and then was like, this is a little sketchy. What am I doing here? I got to go to Mexico next week, and just ran her home for a third place, which is still crazy to think about. And in her Win TV post-race interview, she was chatting about just mentioning that to keep the fire burning, looking at doing other events, video projects, still World Cups, but mix in some other things to keep it exciting. And talk about a crazy position to be in. I think she's 23, and to have won everything now twice.
Three World Cup overalls
3 times
in a row. Yeah.
She's back-to-back world champion. I mean, I think she's won worlds a bunch of other times. I'm really bad at remembering
junior world
people's-
champ.
That sounds terrible.
It's
must be really.
It's like the Jet Lawrence effect, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, what do you end up doing at that point? And I love when athletes do more. Like they broaden their identity. She's not just Valley Hall, the World Cup racer. Like her personality's rad. Like she's genuine. You feel like you actually are hearing her talk about what she's feeling. And video projects would be sick. Hardline is always cool. It sounds like there's gonna be more hardlines next year as well. So
Oh yeah, let's add
I would-
that to your 17 races you're gonna do, Dak.
yeah,
3
come
rounds
on.
of hardline.
You saw what it did for Ronan.
You saw
Get
what
out
he
there.
did
Tell me
for
about it.
Jackson.
I want to go.
Too soon.
You heard it here first. I want to go to Hardline. I want to go.
Oh, that is an easy email. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be awesome. I think it'd be sweet. Let's go. Let's do it. Sign me
That
up.
seems right up your alley.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
You could even ride it on the
You-
450.
I was
Dude,
just thinking that too.
the team manager
DVR,
says
where you
like,
at? Pit bike.
the team manager said to me, he's like, "Oh yeah, I just don't know if you'd be into that, like jumping all those big jumps and stuff like that. Doesn't really seem like your thing." I'm like, "You clearly do not know me. You don't know me, son." Like that is exactly what I want to do. I love hitting the big stuff.
Oh yeah, he does.
Well, I
Oh,
cannot wait to
dude.
see it. Which round? Well, I don't know which one you're going to go to, but
Yeah.
I'm
you should
really
do
into
it.
it. I think it'll be sweet. Yeah. I've just in the past.
When's
I haven't been
Windrock
able
gonna
to.
have one?
That's what I'm saying, Aaron. Where are you at?
Yeah.
What the
what are
heck?
you doing out? What are you doing down there?
Aaron, what's going
Yeah.
on?
Get back from New York and start building that hardline course.
We got jumps to build, dude. I'm trying to ramp some stuff.
Come on.
I do love that. I can't think of somebody who has more on their plate than AG, and he's the one in New York right now helping plan out a downhill track. Like,
Dude.
man, he must have the biggest closet for all those damn hats he wears.
Dude, he's doing a lot at the moment. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Good on him. I like AG. Big fan.
Mhm.
Marine Cabarrou. She won MSA this weekend. Quite a turnaround as well. 7th in qualies, 7th in semis. Then clean, fast run. Second win this season. Only person to win 2 World Cups besides Valley. And she was able to jump past Tawny in the overall, go second. So, I mean, I feel like she's been overshadowed by definitely Tawny and Miriam a little bit, or like, at least in
Yeah.
my mind, it seems like more of the focus and chit chats around her. Obviously, Valley leading it gets a lot of the focus, but dude, she's there. She's been there too. Like last year was really solid for her. But it was cool to see. I'm a fan of her. She's like, seems so chill, but stoked on racing.
Mhm.
She's somebody I'm like, give me some more video projects with her. I want to know more about
Dude,
what she's doing. off season.
unfortunately, I think she gets overshadowed because she's got a monster helmet. The rest of the field's got Red Bull helmets.
Oh, fighting words.
I'm just putting that out there, and you know, it's just
Yeah.
how it is.
We know everything about like
they
Amari
do the
and
monster.
stuff.
Yeah, because Commensal's putting up the money for that.
What about Asa?
Well, but Asa,
If he's got a
No.
GoPro helmet on, we know everything about the kid. In the like elite broadcast, they're talking about Asa. You know,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
you're putting your hand up, Dak.
Just eat my orange.
Not saying anything. I
Yeah.
ain't saying anything. But we
Whatever the reasoning might be, energy drinks aside.
no, I just don't
uh,
think that it's like wearing a black helmet versus having a big Red Bull helmet. It's just not as flashy. People don't look at you the same. Like it's just a thing. Like
Maybe it's because she's French and the accent is tough for people to get by. But I mean, Miriam's the same way. But Miriam's been.
She speaks awesome English.
I know. I don't know. I'm just giving people outs here. Come on.
She just doesn't. She's just. I'm going to say this.
She's chiller.
She doesn't put a lot of media out. She
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
put a lot of her personality out. She like there. It's no like.
Which I respect.
It's kind of like Coulange has been starting doing more now, but he
Mhm.
doesn't put a lot of his media out. He doesn't do a lot of his own media. He doesn't put a lot of his personality out there. And like, you know, I think I do the podcast. I do all this stuff. Like I put a lot of my personality out there, but it's a lot of work. Like you have to do it, and it's cool. Like, you get to share so
Yeah.
much, but at the same time, like if you're, I mean, maybe they do more in France, like with the fastest France people. They do like their own French like interviews, like Win TV and stuff. But I don't think for us as Americans, unless you're like a couple of the top, I mean, she's still a top girl, but unless you're putting that content out there, it's
yeah. I'll also
You
say
don't-
that she rides for Scott, which unfortunately the majority of Scott's audience is endurance based, cross country and road. And so like their stuff is just doesn't go very far. They're like they do videos from every round and stuff, but like no one really sees them because the audience is not like the initial audience isn't watching.
Well, the team is very French too. Yeah. Super French. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, so is Commensal. Or I mean, Commensal
has a gravity audience, so like everyone in the gravity side of things watches it, and so like it gets more views. It goes out to more people. I mean, I've seen it with like my own personal projects with that brand and stuff. Is like it just doesn't go like super far if it's a gravity oriented project or video or whatever.
Unless you're Brand Dog.
Yeah, but then stuff lives on his channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we just need more. We just need more marine content, whether it's from her or somebody else creating it. Because you're right. Now that I think about it, I'm like, I just don't. Maybe I can do more due diligence to know riders like her and others that I don't as much. But and for better or worse, we are in a day and age where it's up to the athletes to tell everybody who they are, which there's beauty in that, and there's a bit of a burden with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got to come on here and talk to you.
Hey,
that's actually me doing. That's actually my burden, but
you love me. Don't say these things to me.
I'm just kidding. It's been the best. How else would we have all stayed in contact over all these years? I haven't talked to Dimitri in God knows how long, and that's also because he's a gypsy. But like even Warren, I don't stay in touch with Warren.
I've seen Warren a little bit. Like I seen him at Sea Otter and I seen him in Whistler. He did a scrub in front of me that blew my mind. Like my mind is still on Dirt Merchant with him dragging his handlebar off the lip. But that's the only reason I see Warren
on Dirt Merchant just doing the nastiest scrub whip.
It's insanity.
No, it didn't get posted anywhere. I gave it to him.
No.
No.
Why would I do that?
Maybe I'll post it today on my story. I'm just going to post it. I'll tag Vital.
Why?
Just send me it. It'll be the only clip I put in the video.
He
is just the scrub right now.
So dope. But yeah, I don't talk to those guys because I never see them. I don't know what they're doing. Like Jubal is the one I talk to the most, actually, to be fair.
Dude, Jubal's the one that hides from everybody.
I know. He's hustling. He's a hustler. I like it. Big Jubal fan.
I love this tangent.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, back on.
Miriam. It was her race to win this weekend. She won qualies and semis, and then crashed out in finals as a lot of the women did. They definitely had some very slippery conditions when that kind of the early on as the rain was starting to come down. Kind of a bummer with how well the back half of her season was going and the pace she was ramping up, but still fourth in the overall after not even being in the first race at Fort William is a pretty sick turnaround. Moving on down the list, Tawny's had a pretty rough 2 weeks. It sounds like she hit her head at the U.S. Open with a good little slap to the ground, and then messed up her thumb at some point this weekend in practice, and was taping her hand to the bar, and bit of a survival round for her. What did she finish in the overall? Second, third? Did I write it down? Did I already say? I don't remember. She was still up there in the overall. And a good season for her overall, coming back from that big concussion she had. And I think last year was a bit more of a building back, and this year was reproving, who she is as an athlete. She won Val Sol. A lot of pros to take away from everything. Other standout results from this round for the women, we had Phoebe Gale in fourth, backs up her third in Ludenville. That was cool to see. Gracie Hemstreet, first final ever in elites, second place, nearly outside of the win by not too much. In
just
Canada.
Really just giving a gift to old Greg.
Yeah. And Norco. I mean, dude, they've had an up and down season. It started off freaking rough for them. Everybody was like, "Ooh, don't look over there," And yeah, that was super sick to see. So, alrighty, Anna Newkirk, fourth in qualies and semis, was on pace to have a really cool weekend to top off a really great year for her, and then unfortunately crashed in the rocks, but still seventh in the overall. Fastest privateer, I think, in both elite categories, definitely in the overall, fastest American elite women. Just all the props for what her and Abby are doing and program they put together, and hopefully she ends up on something that, you know, more people are helping her out and handling things for her at the races, because she deserves it. We mentioned Jess, healing vibes to her. We chat a lot about Valley, the season she's had. That wraps up elite women. Elite men. Troy, fairy tale ending to the season, dude. That was one of the coolest races ever. Mont-Sainte-Anne definitely delivers some really legendary races. Maybe it's just because we've been going there so long, but to come down last after building throughout the weekend in qualies and semifinals, and a place he's always gone well, but Troy's career is consistent with one thing. It's like second and third places. So, I mean, after missing Worlds, missing Luneville, after having his first child, and then just showing up and winning with his mechanic Aaron, it being his last race with him after 10 years of their partnership. I mean, it was just sick all around. Really feel good.
Yeah, it's wild like that he finished second in the overall with missing a race.
Yeah,
and it was
super wild.
And it wasn't like he was on the podium at every race.
It was it's the add up of qualies and semis. Finn was in a similar boat with being fifth in the overall, but crashing out of quite a few finals, I believe, at least 2 or 3. But you have those other things that make up the difference.
Yeah.
So, dude, yeah, to be second, you know, like when you look at the overall in a couple weeks from now, a month from now, whenever, and you see the names that are on there, it feels like it'll still be kind of like, oh shit, Troy, like he had a really good year last year. Because I think about Loic, obviously, but like Amari, you know, winning 2 races and being dominant, but then had bad weekends otherwise, missed the last race, all those things. Even Ronan, because there's just so much chat around him. He won a World Cup. Lockie having 2 good rounds, a lot of hype around him. But just Troy, man, it's just the fucking Dungey effect, just always there, always in the mix.
Like Benoit, like
I was
thinking of him like being right there.
And what was Benoit in the overall? I actually have it pulled up. He was 7th, but still, you know, like somebody where, I mean, a real sleeper is probably Kolb in 6th.
But like Benoit, like won a race, got on some podiums. But yeah, I guess looking at his results now, his semifinals weren't that great. So
yeah,
it's like those things really mattered.
Yep. Dak, next year, as far as I'm aware, there's points in qualifying, but then the whatever the heck they're calling it, the LCQ, that's not points paying. That's just to like get you into finals or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. From what I understand.
Cool. And I'm assuming that qualifying points will be the people who qualify in all get points, or just top 20. I wonder what it'll be.
It's hard to say. I think they'll definitely get
cool
points.
If it was everybody.
I mean, it should. Like, honestly, it should. But right now we have a big issue with the point system, and guys have to petition that make semifinals that don't get any points because of semifinal, or maybe qualify but don't get any points. There's somebody's not getting points here. Because
people not getting points that should be getting points.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody out. Adam Brayton ain't getting no points, and he should be getting points. I remember he was a big topic of that. So
yeah, I think if assuming next year what they do is top 20 out of qualifying, and then they take the top 10 out of the LCQ. Historically, top 20 in qualifying have always gotten points anyway, so there would be no change. But then, what happened? Do those top 10 people get any points? Probably not. They probably just get to be in finals, and then that generates you points if you just make a run to the bottom. So, anyways, yes.
The thing I don't thoroughly enjoy is like the 250, 200, 150, or whatever it is. how the points are so staggered at the top. Like I would rather
Oh,
be like 60 points, 59 points, 58 points. Like I would find it better if it was like that. But right now it rewards, like for sure rewards going for the win. I don't know how it is in other sports, but it makes it pretty tough. Like if you win a race or you get second at a race, but you're consistently in fifth at every race, it doesn't really, it rewards being on the podium, which it's cool. Like get it. But for an overall standpoint, it's really tough.
What's strange is currently, if we're talking about elite men, 30th place is 30 points. It goes up by 2 points all the way until you get to 15th. And then there's a jump of 3 points, kind of on and off, all the way up until 10th. And then we do an odd jumps of like, we go to 5, then we go 15, then we go 20, then we go back to 15. Like a lot of people, majority of people finishing in finals, or at least half, are in a much tighter race. And you do see that in the overall, where there's a tight race for positions from like 12th back to 30th in the overall, but the top 5 are separated by like 100 points here or there. Not that it doesn't still work out to where that there's close battles, but yeah, why not just keep that consistent build all the way through of points? And I don't understand how and why they do all of that, really. Like, why is it 250? Why don't we just do like 100 and count down from there? But the junior men's class is 25 people, and it's a bit more of an even drop from first to 25th. It still is stacked heavier at the top, which I think will always make sense, like rewarding being top 5, top 10, whatever it might be. But I don't really get why we go from 250 to 30. It's strange.
Something we'll just never know.
Yep. So
I think it
on
just
today's
does
episode, we're covering things that we don't have answers to. Like, why do you have to enter the course where you exited?
I think it just rewards like those like wild runs. It doesn't reward the Dungy effect. It rewards going for it if it pays off.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably stare at numbers all day long and find people that have worked it in both ways, which, is what it is. Okay, anyways, moving on. Our boy Lockie, second place, best result, second podium for the year, backs up a win at the US Open. And the main thing that matters is that he pulled a tear off on the step down. I think the only other person that tried that was Kolb, and he did not do it nearly as cool as Lockie did. I was a little disappointed you didn't pull a tear off, honestly, Dakota. You definitely wouldn't have gone to the right of that pole had you pulled one. So there's still more progress to be made with the rain
one tear off left. I was conserving.
Well, they do come in stacks of 7, in case you forgot.
Yeah, thanks. Yep, thanks. And if you pull 2 of 3 at once, you're really screwed.
Yeah. Well, you could put 2 stacks of 7, and that would give you somewhere in the ballpark of 14.
And then you would definitely not be able to see in the fog.
Fog issues? Well, their goggles do say 100% on the side, right? That's back against the wall a little bit to begin with in the fog.
They don't fog.
Hashtag clear vision.
I worked there for 4 years, and I still wear their shit, and it still fogs. And sorry, it does.
Yeah, it's because you're a mouth breather.
Yeah, dude, you're out of shape.
I got deviated septum, maybe.
Come on, you're out of shape. Breathing too hard.
Okay. Dope to see. Be interesting to see where Lockie goes next year. Hashtag team rumors. We'll talk about that later. Laurie Greenland in third. Maybe got a little bit of a gift with weather coming down earlier, but I don't think that made a massive difference. I don't think he had a sick run. It's so cool to see him have a really good result after a year that was just shit. And I would love to know what went on this year with the health things he's been hinting at and mental clarity, all those things. So yeah, be cool to know more about that because it's quite the turnaround. Dude's sick on a bike. Moving down the list here, Remy Tieron in fourth. Guy shows up. I mean, when it gets a little wet out, I think the broadcast just is like, that's what he is to the dudes that do the broadcast, is he's just like the rain rider. They forget his name if it's dry, but the second it's wet, they're like, oh yeah, we got to bring him up again. But he's had a good year, dude. Like, he's just been silently always doing well. I don't know if this is his best result of the season or not. I think he did well at Leger in the rain, right?
Yeah, he's got another. He had a third or another fourth place at Leger.
Yep.
And then he was just like, always in the finals, 10th at Worlds, 7th in Ludenville. Like,
good reps.
It's sick.
He's
ripping.
I don't know how old he is, but he's been doing it a minute. I mean, he's had a lot of seasons under his belt. So to see him continue to be like pushing his own speed like that is really rad.
Yeah,
dude.
Like, I mean,
he's gnarly, and he is a mud monkey. When it gets wet, he shreds.
Like, dude, the last time he won a World Cup, he's won a World Cup, but it was in 2015.
15?
Yeah.
Andorra?
I think it was Andorra.
Yeah.
He was on comments all at the time, right?
Yeah, the yellow ones.
Let's see. Yeah, he rips. He always ripped. Like, honestly, I don't think it was. No, Andorra was 2015 Worlds, is what you're thinking of, in the mud, when he was absolutely just so sick.
I feel like he won Andorra in like 13 or 14, but maybe I'm tripping.
It was back then.
Just swinging off of it back when Andorra was a cool track.
Just steering with his knees.
Whatever you need to use. whatever.
I'm looking at it, and it's so sick to see his results go back to the Nissan UCI World Cup days.
That's crazy, dude. 2007
got a 10th at Champery.
That's as impressive
as a junior.
Really?
But in the elite class, because they didn't have a junior class back then.
See, after with Greg retiring this weekend, there's all this talk now about like who's the oldest dude out there racing, and everybody kept saying Aaron. Aaron's only 36. He turns 37 the end of this year. His birthday is December 24th. Not to blow him out. I had to look it up for this, but that's not that old. Like, I know I'm getting older, so it's relative, but like in sports as an athlete, I mean, like, sure, he's been around forever, but there's definitely other people that are racing that are similar age now, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's funny that
I don't
got to declare that right after Greg leaves. We're like, who's the oldest?
I actually don't think Remy's won a World Cup. He's gotten like seconds and thirds. But
we'll come back to you.
Yeah, I don't see one. I ain't seeing it.
All right, we're starting to cut into Dakota's get tan time.
I'm happy. No,
GTL
this is like
time.
the one. There are days when I'm like, yo, we got to end this. I got to go. But today, dude, I'm good. Like, I got the only thing on my mind for the rest of the day is expense reports and pina coladas. Hoping it don't rain.
Oh, that's great. I'm definitely going to need some photos of you to maybe use for this podcast if you laying out on the beach. I'm assuming you guys are going to go to like the beach after Frida's done with their conference today, or is that run all day?
No, her conference is done. Yeah, I'm going into vacay mode after
Island
this.
time, actually.
Yeah, I'm eating uncooked
Poke
fish
bowls
and poke bowls and hanging out at the beach. As far as I'm concerned,
spam masubi,
water quads. Might get a car and go drive around the island.
I dig it. I don't even know where we were anymore. Richie Rude.
Yeah, Richie. Big dog got
7th place. I just want to point out this is his best World Cup result, and I think he turned elite in 2012. So like
14.
Is that when he was?
He won 13. Or when was the Leah gang when he won?
Worlds, you mean, or what?
Yeah, Worlds Junior.
I thought that was like 2011. I mean, it was back when Austin went to Worlds, so it was a while ago.
Let me throw this out there. Dude wraps up the EWS overall, doesn't go on vacation, just He's like, oh, I'll go race a couple downhill races and run it into the top 10 at World Cup finals. Machine.
Yeah.
He's the
Dude is a
fastest,
machine.
He's the fastest downhill racing enduro racer.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And
Jason, he's the same age as you, 95.
is he?
Yeah, he's a 95 birthday.
Well, he was probably
know,
racing World Cups as a junior then, maybe. It was like as an elite.
Yeah.
Before then? Is that what maybe that's what I looked at when I looked it up earlier. Regardless, he's like a decade in and has gone and done a bunch of other stuff and just shows up and has a top 10 and his best result. And like, yeah, Richie's fast, obviously, but to get on a bike that you're not riding primarily, that is new for them as well. It's not like there's like, yeah, we got 2 years of development with other dudes. We'll plug you in pretty quick. It's like he's it, you know? He's on the downhill bike figuring it out. And yeah, really cool to see. His style on a bike, like, is just so savage.
Yeah.
Like a bear on a bike.
Dude's built.
He's been eating well since he was 14. All right, keep scrolling down. We talked about Kirk. He's designing speed into his bikes and it's paying off. Casper
Aaron?
Woolley in 18. What?
You're gonna skip
pass
over
up
AG
Aaron?
like that?
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah.
You gonna do my boy like that?
I'm gonna do Aaron like that. 7th in semis, 12th in finals. Talk about a comeback after the year and a half,
Basically 2
year and
years,
a half
yeah.
plus. And I thought just him making the finals in Luneville was crazy. And then MSA is a track that he's comfortable at and all that, but you still got to go out and do it. And on a bike, he's not developing, but getting up to pace on still and all those things. You'd love to see it. I think that 7th kind of got everybody a little starry eyed, like, oh man, he might do it. So 12th feels modestly appropriate.
Yeah.
Let's not get in too thick here. Yeah, man, sick. Why is he on Olin's? Like, I feel like I just missed that. And he was like Fox dude for so long, like boys with Fox, like definitely owns stock in Fox. And then just, nah.
Fox is a publicly traded company, so anyone can do it. I used to own some stock in Fox. Made some good money off that during
And now
COVID.
you ride Olin's.
And now I ride Olin's.
Dang. So what do you know that we don't?
There's some things.
Who are you looking at?
I run Olin's on my bike after our fork test because the fork is really freaking good. So I understand that the product's good, but I don't know. I'm sure he probably hashed it out. He probably said it in our podcast at the beginning of the year, and I'm just not remembering it. But
Dude, probably just wants to switch up some stuff. You know, maybe they ain't giving out Raptors left and right like they used to.
Dang,
Just kidding.
the good old days.
Back in
No,
the good
not
old days.
shots fired. Just sign.
Aaron showing up to the shuttle day with the Fox wrapped Raptor. How sick is that?
I got to show up to a few shuttle days with him in that thing, and it was crazy. I was like, I'm so not good at riding for this at all. I don't even own a car right now.
Yeah. So yeah, he's on Olin's. He's doing it. Next year's gonna be interesting though, because like
he ain't doing a full season.
His team doesn't have points to do. Like they could be a wild card team, but yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be real interesting.
I see Aaron focusing on the Tennessee National, doing some broadcasting, doing Mont-Sainte-Anne, Lake Placid, and doing some monster downhole things, and then just trying to catch up on all the other stuff he does. Airbnbs.
I think he's gonna have to reel back a little bit on the extracurriculars.
The extracurriculars?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like things outside of the main thing.
I just don't think he's going to do a full World Cup season, which frees up, not like gives him extra time, but makes it more realistic for him to do what he's currently already doing.
I don't think our boy is going to go to Europe if he ain't racing.
Yeah, he don't want to travel.
Yeah.
Like he ain't broadcasting in Europe. I don't think if he's not racing personally. Like I don't actually know this. I'm not speaking on any facts that I know. I'm friends with Aaron, but he doesn't like Europe enough where he's just going to go to broadcast. Like dude's going to be there to race and compete to win, or he ain't going. In my personal opinion, just off knowing the guy, not any insider information.
Yeah.
Like Aaron is still like like a very big competitor. And from what I've seen out of Aaron's riding, because I've rode with him the last couple of weeks, dude is not going slow. So I'm an Aaron Gwynn fan. Aaron Gwynn friend and fan first, friend second. And dude is still hauling the mail. I'll be the first one to tell you that I've had a front row seat.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what he'll do. I can't speak on the topic.
You could.
I actually don't know, honestly. But I don't think he's done racing, that's for sure.
I don't think he's done racing. I just think that he seems methodical enough about where he puts his time and energy that I don't know if World Cups is where he's going to see his time best spent. I could see him still chasing some World Cups in a Worlds push, potentially, and then finding competitiveness in that mixed with maybe some national rounds and other things. There's plenty of racing to be had, as we've talked about. I just don't see him trying to run a team.
I don't see him as a person though, like
everything.
that's gonna race the races that don't have the highest level of competition.
I agree. I wonder how that changes as he's owning a bike park and more involved with like the scene and community of USDH and promoting his own race, probably wanting to be supportive of other races going on if it lines up. But I agree. I think that's been the biggest asterisk for me next to the growth of our US domestic series is that you can have a bunch of money paid out. You can have whatever other draws to get people there, but racers are competitive by nature and nobody wants to be the best against not the best group, and you can do that for a while, but everybody naturally wants to try to go beat Loic or beat Valley or whatever that might be. So, but yeah, who knows? Aaron, he alluded enough to maybe not doing, Zeus is going to bark. Don't do it. Alluded to not maybe doing as much. So I guess we'll find out.
Well, all right, going on from Aaron, Kirk McDowall.
Sorry, I got a little 450 over here. It's okay. Yes.
Whoa.
I guess I'll let you do it and we'll just cut it out.
Is he double clutching over there or
what? He's just heating the rear up. He's on the concrete start.
Yeah, anybody that ever watches and is like, you're in your house now. Why are you always in your garage? That's why. Okay. Sorry, my thing said my audio is causing echo, but that's a freaking lie. All righty. We already talked about Kirk. We're on to Casper. He's the second fastest downhill racing enduro racer now behind Richie. First downhill World Cup. It's come back. It's top 20.
First year racing downhill?
Whatever.
That's gnarly, dude.
And same, just coming off of doing all the EDRs, whatever the heck they are, EDC.
I was talking to Nick Nestroff the other day about this, about Casper killing it, and Nick told me that he was hurt for 16 months out of 24 months. He had injuries, broke a bunch of stuff, then had something else, had a spleen or something like that, something gnarly, and wasn't riding for 16 months out of 24 months from 22 to 24 or something like that. Yeah.
Well, hopefully he gets back racing more downhill next year as well, because clearly he ain't bad at it.
No, not at all. Not even close to being bad.
Better than we ever were. Yeah. Okay, this is running so long. Henry Kern 8th, first top 10. That was cool. Good for him. Good to see. Luke Myersmith 11th, his best result this season. Benny B, chatted a bit about him already, but 5th, another solid result. His last race with the Dorval AM Commensal after 12 years. Shit's crazy. That's a long ass time. So curious where he's going to end up. I mean, on a Commensal, presumably, but depending on how they end up organizing their teams and riders, be interesting what he goes to. Maybe he goes somewhere else. Maybe I don't know. Been a lot of talk about Loris going to Commensal, so it's like, how many more riders can they add at this point? Since they have so many teams, and they're
You can
maybe
have
gonna
10. You can have 10 riders. 4
It's
in
true.
each
If
category, I think, is what the limit is.
they can have 2 teams. That means they could have 8 men. So I think they can have more than 2 teams, but I feel like 2 teams is what I've kind of heard here and there.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Final shout out, just Matt Walker. He was supposed to have a good weekend. He got shat on by the semifinals. Bad luck. So that was a tough one to see. Same with him last race with Madison Saracen, and bummer to not be able to give them a good result, which he was on pace to do.
Yeah, I heard some stuff about that whole thing. I mean, it's kind of strange that he was the only one from the team there.
It makes sense. Like, they're done, and it's like a far race to go to. So it's like, why bring a bunch of people? What do you mean? Like, he was literally by himself?
Like him and his mechanic.
Yeah.
But like Greg Williamson didn't go.
Yeah, but he's hurt.
He's hurt. And then there's
I think the junior kid was there.
Was the junior kid there?
He just got hurt in like practice.
Yeah.
I mean, I could understand it from it just being the last race they do in a different continent, trying to be like, it's not going to do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what happens with them too, because Greg had a pretty good year.
Yeah, he had moments of greatness for sure.
He had 2 top 10s, I think.
Yeah, he started off real hot. Yeah, I need to go through, when I have time at some point, and just like list out all the riders and who's where and who's has a question mark next to it. And then like, how many elite teams did we have this year? Who was on them? How many riders does that make up? So how many spots are there potentially going to be new or open going into next year? Because there's not, I don't know. I feel like it could go either way. Like, it might not be that much different than it currently is. And then that is some speculation on who's actually going to grow their teams when we have more races, we have a higher entry fee for teams, all those things. Like, you add more racers, it gets so much more expensive. So I'd be curious what just the cost of one athlete is per season. It's got to be pretty high.
Yeah.
Not even talking about salary, but just like travel, food, spare parts, lodging, all that. Alrighty. Next year's going to be sick. Jackson Goldstone ideally is back, and he's just been fully forgotten about this year, which I kind of love because I think he's going to show up and just fucking fuck some shit up. Same with Amari. I mean, he was still 3rd in the overall after not doing so hot when he kicked off his return year and missed this last round, breaking his hand this weekend, which I think is not going to be too bad. He didn't really say much about it, but yeah, man, it's good. We got a good year ahead of us. A lot of stuff to unpack this off season, but I'm hopeful overall. I'm optimistic. Yeah, from our end, just keep trying to cover races and do it cool. And hopefully with more North American hype and stuff going on, I can be more boots on the ground doing stuff, which would be fun. And I don't think going to Europe is going to make a whole lot of sense because we got it pretty plug and play with Lawler and Jack and other photographers who help handle stuff. So shout out to all them for covering everything this year. Burgtec, Labor of Love, last one of the season. This one's tough. There's a lot of just factory people in the mix this weekend because there isn't as many people showing up to race Mont-Sainte-Anne. But there's a few names in there. Do any of them stand out to you guys? I think that at least one of them we've definitely paid before. The first name, I just don't. Are you looking at it, Dak? You know these people more than I do.
I'm looking at it right now.
The first name, I don't know their support level. As far as I'm aware, it's quite mom and pop. Sure, he might get some product, but it's not like a.
The last one's the junior girl, right?
The last 2 are, yeah.
The very bottom one. I seen her at nationals, and she was riding insane.
She won.
She looks really good on a bike, and I think she just started.
Won Enduro nationals.
Maybe I should do some due
Sick.
diligence here and get on the old root sand rain.
But also the top one has done pretty insane, and I think it's pretty mom and pop.
Mhm.
So I think it's between those two.
Bottom one, that's what you're saying it's between?
Yeah.
Do we know if the bottom one has another junior year ahead of him?
I think first World Cup, I think.
Yeah, but was this like their second junior year?
No, it's first year.
Okay.
First year.
Let's go with the first
I
one
think.
because they're closing out junior career.
Yeah.
A lot of improvement from last year. We're giving it to Luke Wayman. Second, the overall. Maybe not. I'm doing this from like an overall perspective. I know he didn't have a great weekend racing, but I think it's just sick to have somebody that did all the races. And I know Wynn was helping him out. It appeared a little bit,
Mhm.
maybe. I mean, there's overlap with him being Kiwi
Mhm.
and on GT. And I'm pretty honestly have not done my homework to know the team he's on and a few of those teams, like what the support level is. If it's more like if you're a part of the team, it helps with like your entry to just be at the races. But regardless, dude had a sick season. I'll hit you up, get you your 200 bones. Good luck next year in elites. Gonna be quick. We'll be coming at you. All righty. I think that closes us out. Been a good season. I think that it went by really quick. It's only 7 podcasts, so maybe that's why it feels like we haven't been chatting as much. But
Was it only? What about
we did a Worlds one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
we didn't
we?
do
Yeah.
we didn't do a US Open, didn't do a Natty
No.
Champs. Sorry. We did some pre-race ones. Dak wasn't there, but regardless, we're gonna do some this offseason, like always. Come up with some fun topics, get some updates on what Dakota's doing. Yeah, man, it's been good. Another year. I think it's our 4th season. Crazy. We did 21.
Did we do?
Maybe not all of it, but we did some of
Okay.
it. Might have been back when it was with the Rooted crew
Rooted.
some. 22, 23, 24. It's a lot of podcasts. My Google Drive folder for podcasts is quite healthy. There's hours of us talking nonsense for people to go listen to.
Yeah.
All righty.
Yeah, a lot of nonsense.
Yeah. You have final words, Dakota?
I'm bonking. I'm so hungry I can't speak.
You just ate
Man,
whatever you were
dude,
eating.
I was on a lifeline eating an orange over here. It's 10 a.m. breakfast time. I'm ready for it. I did a protein shake, but man, you got to put gas. Harley don't run with no gas. I'll tell you that.
Hey man, I love it.
I'm ready for it, dude. It's I think it's been rad. Like it's cool to see the level of the racing go so high this year in all the classes, and with all the changes, the sport's just going to become more competitive and more rounds and more for us to talk about, right? So I'm really excited.
Here you go, Dakota. I got a question for you. Answer it how you please. Any big changes for the upcoming season? You don't have to tell us. Like, just do you got any changes coming up?
Do I have any changes, like with the team or with myself? For myself,
team, program, anything you're training, anything you're gonna be doing differently?
Oh, dude. That's what I'm on vacation for right now, is going through a reflection process of how did my year go? What can I work on? What can I improve on? Just overall trying to get an idea of where my strengths are and what my weaknesses are and what I need to improve going forward. I think for me personally, I don't think I'm a bad mud rider. I think I lack self-belief in the mud. So I want to do more riding in the muddy conditions. I think that we need to do more development for the bike for the mud, because in my personal racing, I test in the dry, everything's great in the dry, and then it starts raining and it's like, oh, what do we do? And we make rash decisions, but we actually haven't done our homework to understand what the best decision is for the conditions possible. It just becomes like a panic, right? And both I lack self-belief, and then we panic to make the right decisions. and we get inconsistent results. And that's the big thing for me moving forward. I think I need to do a lot of mud testing. I think I'm in a really good place when it's dry, but I'm going to try to move around and go ride some different places. I mean, that's like what everyone does, is like, it's nice to do your training in the sunshine, and it's nice to do your training. And maybe there are pedal blocks, or there's moto blocks or road bike blocks you can do in the sun and fitness. But I'm going to incorporate some downhill mud based blocks to ride different conditions. I would like to maybe go to Vancouver Island and ride for a couple of weeks. I would like to do a couple of weeks in the mud at Windrock. I'd like to maybe try to go to the UK and do a couple of weeks. So that's my big focus going forward, is trying to become a better mud rider, and overall understand time better, like what is actually fast based upon the grade of the track and the terrain we're racing over, what actually relates to the fastest speed. So yeah, reflecting this week and then trying to come up with a plan. Like, I'm not just here sitting on the beach drinking Mai Tais. I'm
Yes, you are.
I kind of am, but I'm also taking some time to reflect and formulate a plan for the coming weeks coming up. And it's like, how can I be the best version of myself? And sometimes, like, when I'm at home, I get stuck in this trap of just like improve, make things more comfortable. But when I remove myself from my environment, it's easier for me to think about what I've done well and what I can do better going forward, because I don't have a lot of distractions or hijacks to the brain, or like things that dirt bikes, or build dirt bike tracks, or do this or that. It's like, yeah, I have these tools and I use them and I enjoy doing that. And I have to fill my cup. I've played with Tonka trucks in a sandbox since I was 3 years old. I love building dirt bike tracks. I love doing all this stuff, but also, like, it's your job, and you have to formulate a plan and a set of goals and things to move forward. So it's not always the fun stuff that makes you better. And sometimes you have to come up with a bit of a new outlook to go forward. So yeah, looking to improve. Like I said, I'm just going to be out there in camo, dude, hiding from Aaron, building road trails.
Time to flood the tracks. Is what it
Yeah,
sounds like.
dude. No, yeah, dude. I want tracks that are so off camber that people can't ride down them. People don't ride them because they're so off camber. So I want routes, I want off camber, and I want to be out of bounds of the bike park. Just
You got a good start with
done.
was it Cave Boy?
Yeah. Cave Boy, Caveman.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some trails. I personally want to try to get some e-bike stuff. You know, I just watch, you see what people put up. You see Reese Wilson, he rides his e-bike a ton on I think he has some pedal trails that are pretty wet, and it allows him to kind of section stuff and ride the stuff he needs to improve. I don't know, you kind of watch everybody. You can either go to it or you can build it, and we have like 6 months now. So I'm going to need to do both. So try to, even if it's just stuff in the yard, riding more flat corners with spikes on, riding more at Windrock XC, riding more. It's just, trying to ride good stuff, trying to ride off camber stuff. I have a lot of stuff I ride that's hidden now that it stays good, but I need to expand on that. So that's it, man. That's my current plan.
Sick.
How many more mass dampers are you going to strap to your bike?
Hopefully one more. We currently only have one. I would like to.
What?
Currently.
You don't have one on your fork?
No. Well, I had one on my fork, but not on. It's pick or choose.
Yeah.
Just moving around.
You can't cut it in half?
Defeats the purpose.
Are you guys going to add
two
another
chains?
rider
You
to
need
your
2
team?
springs.
Will there be another rider on the team?
Oh man, I don't think so. As of this point in time, I'm sure there's room technically via the roster. I would love to be competitive for the overall, and I think to be competitive for the overall, you'd need a girl. As of right now, I don't know what the team's plans are. I think with a first-year team, it was, pretty wild to try to get through the first couple races and figure out how to do this whole thing. And I don't know if they will or they won't. We'll see.
It was a good year, first year for the old Moon Donkey. Thinking back to when we podcasted with you right at the end of last year or before the new year, a lot of speculation, a lot of hope for the year.
Yeah, a lot of hope. And there were a lot of growing pains for sure. I had a lot of growing pains with the program, and I think now that we ended the year, for the 7 weeks we were together, we ended the year in a really good place. And I expect a lot out of myself. I expect a lot of everyone around me, and with a new team, there's definitely growing pains for sure. But like, we reached a really good place at the end of the year, and I think everybody was happy, and I learned a lot too. So I had to change my perspectives. I had to change expectations, because it's a new team. It's a first year. You can't. I mean, there is no race knowledge or no race history for a new program. So like, silly things that you think are very basic, sometimes are not if you've never done this before. So it was really good. I learned a lot through the process too, and grew a lot as a person. And yeah, I think we have a really good base to go into next season and try to work united as a team. And now we have like a workflow, and we have actually have a foundation to build off of.
Good to hear. Good stuff. It means next year is going to be the first win. It's going to come.
Yeah, man. I think so. Until then, you know what the one improvement T-step is? I really want a 7x14 for the moto program. The moto program, we need to be able to bring pitters and big bikes, potentially road bikes, to Florida. So I'm looking for a 7x14 enclosed trailer. I think that's going to be a big improvement to the amateur motocross racing program.
All right.
Keep the moto stuff packed in there, roll the bike in and out. We're looking dual axle, V-nose.
You want the wheels in or out? We're looking for wheels in?
Out, wheels out. We're not 8.5. No, we don't need to go 8.5. I can't see behind it to pull it behind my Sprinter. We don't need. We're just 7x14 trailer brakes. I want to keep the motocross stuff in the moto trailer, so they just roll the bike in, roll the bike out. What?
You want to do an aluminum TPD with a little slant nose on it?
I would love that. I don't know if it's going to fit the budget. If there's anybody out there in the aluminum trailer industry that wants to work on improving the program here, but until then, I'm going steel. Aluminum's out of the budget, if I'm being honest with you. We don't make a lot in contingency from the amateur motocross career. Maybe if you ride a Honda, maybe we can work with, we ride red.
Cowie's got good contingency.
Hey, they make Yoshimura pipes for green bikes. I'm just saying, I'm really open to anything at this point. I might be working on going electric. The training program may go electric, keep the neighbors happy, but just trying to go forward.
When are we going to get on that Kubota deal?
That's what I want to know.
Right.
Every
time I see Aaron and his, I'm like, marketing opportunity missed.
Yeah.
Kubota's right here.
Clearly. Yeah. I mean, money doesn't grow on trees. Excavators are expensive. I've seen Kubota's been doing a lot on social. Maybe they want to get behind my program here.
Feels like it makes a lot of sense.
You know anybody at Kubota? You got a marketing contact, Aaron Gwynn? Send it over.
I thought you guys were boys.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. Trailer boys.
Heck? Yo, what the heck, Aaron? I'm trying to come up. But that's it, dude. That's currently.
That's a lot. You better enjoy those Mai Tais, because you got a lot to do this offseason.
I got a lot of work to do. Yeah, I need to. Dude, my grass is growing though. I thought I lost the grass from the hurricane, but I went home and the first thing I did, I got to tell this. So I get back from Mont-Sainte-Anne, flight's delayed 2 hours. It's 12:30 at night. We get the bikes at 1 a.m. We go to get in the truck. My truck's dead in parking. Ranger's dead, dude. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. we're like, oh no, what do we do? We're like, oh, well, for like $140, we can take an Uber home and then get the van and bring the van and have 2 cars in parking in the morning, and we can jump it when we get back. We're like, no, we're gonna get a rental car. Go to the rental car. They're all sold out. Frida's about to cry because we got to be back it's 1 a.m. We have to be back at the airport at 7 o'clock in the morning. And it's an hour drive home from the airport. So we're at the most, we're going to go home, get 3 hours of sleep and repack, come to Hawaii. And all the rental cars. So she like almost goes into tears. This lady rents us this Mitsubishi Mirage. That's literally it's a turd at best. Had to take the bikes out of the bike box to get them in the car, barely get our stuff in there, get home, rip the Mirage. The Mirage hadn't even been cleaned. It was halfway out of gas. It was dirty. She rented us a pre-returned car. I'm like, you're awesome. And then, yeah, man, we're back. We're here. We made it. Truck's still dead in the parking lot at Tyson Airport. So hopefully somebody will come pick us up when we get home.
McGee Tyson.
McGee Tyson, Ranger's dead in long term. So,
But your grass came back.
But the first thing I did is the Mitsubishi Mirage. I come in hot to the driveway and just whip it over by the garage. I'm like, yo, how bad did the grass grow? Because I spent the week before I left from Mont-Sainte-Anne, just 2 acres of grass, seed, the fertilizer, redid a French drain, big job, stacked a rock wall. And I come home and I'm like, yo, what's the deal? What's the damage? So that's one less thing. It's good. The grass is growing. One less thing I got to do for the off season. So I'm a week ahead now. Hurricane. But actually, we did have some friends that like lost their houses in the hurricane in Nashville. So it would be nice to try to figure out something we can do for fundraising for that. Man, hard on a lot of people. So I'm very grateful that my house is unaffected, but man, it's terrible what happened over there.
Yeah.
Dak, I did want to say I enjoyed the 510 video, homegrown.
Yeah.
That was very well done.
Thank
Steel
you.
City,
That was
Jobo.
Jobo is the man. Jobo, Sam, they crushed it for sure.
I know we've been
unreal.
talking about trying to do something, but I'm glad that they did it and they did it justice. So
it's pretty sick. Adidas stepped up. So if you guys haven't seen my homegrown video, we pretty much had a week to film it. It was 12 minutes, and I think it's done super well online, in my personal opinion, for a 13-minute YouTube video, like a long form. Man, unreal! Like what those guys let me do. They're like, in 510, we pitched kind of a backyard project to them. That was their big push, is backyard. So how we use our community or our surroundings, our backyard, to try to do incredible things around the world and compete in what our environment that makes us. And I got to share my story of moving to Tennessee and my actual backyard that I used to train to be one of the best athletes in the world. And yeah, we shot at Windrock, shot at my moto track, and man, it was like, they ended up releasing it in the fall, but originally it was going to be like one of the first projects they needed for the spring. So we like hustled, and Jobo and Sam and everybody at Steel City Media kind of busted their ass, for lack of a better term. We had one little window, came in, made it happen, short deadline, and the project ended up being so good that they saved it for the end of the year for their last of their backyard series. And yeah, it was kind of crazy. Like, I didn't want to rush the story of 10 years of my life, 10 years of hard work, what I've done for a decade to build this thing. But yeah, pretty cool. It came out awesome. So if you guys want to know more about me and the things that I'm passionate about, and some pretty insane riding clips, check out the YouTube video, Homegrown. It's on the Adidas channel.
See the house that Dak was talk about. And
the deck, the house, all the things. I built to be the best version of myself. Unfortunately, it was in February, so we couldn't get the pump track done. But we had to make the most out of what we had. So downhill and moto it was.
That's sweet. It was really good. It was cool. It's crazy it was that long.
Hey, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I feel like people who listen to this probably feel like they know everything about you they need to, but it was still a good watch.
Yeah. Pretty rad.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
All right,
That's
boys.
all.
I'm going to the beach.
Roll the credits.
Thank you everybody for listening to the B Practice podcast. Thank you as always, Maxis Burgtec, Industry 9, for their continued support this whole season and last season. And yeah, man, we'll see everybody in the coming months for some off-season podcasts. Boom.